A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This I believe. When George Woodcock, Assistant General Secretary of the British Trade Union Congress, was 12, he left school to work in the weaving mills. Ordinarily, this would have been the end of his education. But George Woodcock won a TUC scholarship to Ruskin College and did well enough there to go on to Oxford University. What he learned there, he has applied to his work in the labor movement, and is known as a man who can span the gap between workers and intellectuals. This is George Woodcock's creed.
I believe that justice is the foundation of all other virtues. Without justice there can be no liberty, no true equality, and no real progress. Of course, by justice I don't mean merely the impartial administration of the law. I mean rather that sense of fairness which makes a man anxious to hear and to understand other points of view before he makes up his own mind. In my case, two somewhat contradictory influences have contributed to this belief in justice as the predominant virtue. One, largely emotional and negative, which made me intensely dislike injustice and oppression, and the other, more intellectual and positive, which ultimately compelled me to seek out causes rather than to remain obsessed by effects. When I was young, I saw what I thought, and I still think, to be great hardships and injustices suffered by good and kind people. It seemed to me that ordinary people, including my own parents, worked hard and conscientiously, remained honest and decent, and yet, for reward, found it week after week and year after year well nigh impossible to pay for their modest and most essential needs, and that I thought most unfair. Inevitably, I became a member of the Labour Party and of the trade union movement, the two movements, as it seemed to me, equally founded in a determination to see justice done to ordinary working people. But an intense dislike of injustice and oppression is not of itself a good foundation for a sense of fairness and justice. A man can be so obsessed by the unfairness of others as to become equally unfair in his own attitudes. I can well imagine that in my young and eager days I was something of a prig, and certainly an aggravating nuisance to those who did not share my enthusiasms. Had I met with intolerance equal to my own, or even with indifference, I think I too might have remained intolerant, or become indifferent, which I most fervently hope I am not. For the most part, however, I found people very fair to me, and none more so than the people I met at Oxford. The Oxford University tutor in particular seems to me to possess in the highest degree that sense of fairness which I believe is the greatest of all virtues. This intellectual fairness is not mere toleration. Indeed, mere toleration can lead to indifference. The desire to be fair, to do real justice, need not and should not kill enthusiasm. It allows, and in fact it demands argument, though it discounts cleverness. It assumes that, failing very convincing proof to the contrary, the other fellow is as anxious to do right as you are, and that what needs to be done is to discover what right is. Immanuel Kant said that we should always try to act as though we were laying down a universal law. Some of us may not be able to reach that level of perfection, but I believe that we can all make the effort and be better for it.
That was English labor leader George Woodcock, whose firm but broad-minded advocacy of the rights of the worker have won him wide respect.
The Anchor-Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
What does E-M-A-N-S-O-U-M-A-F spell?
E-M-A-N-S-O-U-M-A-F. Well, what?
spelled backward its famous name.
Famous name.
Did someone say anchor hocking?
How come anchor hocking?
Why, everyone knows that anchor hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Lady in Distress. Early, about 2 o'clock, a narrow midtown street lined with raucous nightclubs. Wandering lazily along it is a tall, slim man whose costume in this metropolitan center is, well, bizarre to say the least. For from his 10-gallon hat to his high-heeled boots, he's every inch the cowboy. Suddenly, from a shadowed doorway, he hears...
Mister.
Huh?
Mister, please.
You talking to me, ma'am?
Yes, come closer. Here, where we can't be seen.
Well, sure, ma'am, but...
I'm in desperate trouble, and I simply can't go to the police. Not yet. Well, I saw you. You're appearing in the rodeo, aren't you?
Yes, and at the Coliseum.
And you're from the South, like me.
I come from Texas.
You're not a part of this town, this street. I can trust you.
Well, I reckon you can, ma'am. What you want I should do,
Get a cab here for me, and then ride with me to Union Terminal.
Well, I'd be glad to, but why?
All I can tell you is some men are looking for me, and if I'm found, I may be killed.
So you and Casey took in the rodeo last night, huh, Miss Webb?
No. Casey went alone, Ethel.
Yeah, I went alone. I saw a swell show, too. Poor Miss Williams. She had a date with her aunt and uncle. They spent the evening at Pinky Bannister's.
That clip joint?
Yeah, her aunt and uncle are the adventurous type.
Well, we had a little excitement at Bannister's Club. That South American playboy. You've heard of him, Ethelbert. Senior Gallo?
Oh, yeah.
Well, he and another inebriated gentleman got into a fist fight and had to be gently removed by Bannister's muscle men.
They say that rich Gallo fella always carries a gold-plated gun and a diamond-studded holster for his self-protection. Did he?
No, there were no fireworks.
Boy, but I saw the real action at the rodeo, though. Guys bulldogging steers, roping wild longhorns. I really saw a show.
Quite a few of them cowboys has been coming into this bar. See their fancy dresses,
Yeah.
Just like in them Gene Autry movies.
Yeah, there's some swell fellas among them. I got fairly well acquainted with a bunch, taking publicity pictures and all
Say,
that.
here comes one of them now.
Hello, Casey.
Hey.
Howdy, Miss Williams. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Mr. Morrissey.
Just finished your matinee? Yeah. Albert, shake hands with Barbecue Tom Morrissey. Pleased to meet up with you.
Glad to know you.
Casey, I was over to your office a minute ago, and they said I'd find you here. So you want to see me about something? Yeah. Would you excuse us, Miss Williams?
Why, sure. Yes, of course.
What's wrong, fella? You look kind of worried. I'm terribly worried. I know you well enough to figure you're a good man to come to for advice. Last night, Casey, I met a young lady. Oh, wait a minute. When it comes to women, Tom, I don't know from nothing. Well, you might know how I can find her. You met her last night and you lost her already? Well, she was in big trouble, Casey, and it was really early this morning I met her. I was walking up a street near the Coliseum, sort of gawking up at them nightclub places, and she ran up and asked me to get her in a cab. Some men were after her. Oh, you fell for it, huh? Well, what happened after you and the gal got into the cab, Tom? Well, I tried to persuade her to tell me about the men she was afraid of, but she said she couldn't because it concerned her family honor. Family honor? Which was also the reason she couldn't go to the police. Oh. Did she tell you anything about herself? Well, only that her friends called her Mary Bell and that she was from a fine old Southern family. You say she was young and blonde and beautiful, Keith. How much dough did she borrow from you? How'd you guess she borrowed money? Oh, I'm kind of good at that kind of guesses. How much? $100. Now, look here, Casey. Don't you go getting wrong ideas about that little lady. She wasn't no gold digger. Well, what happened after she got your dough? Well, she got out of the cab and promised to meet me at noon today. I waited from noon till after 2 o'clock at the place she said she'd be, but she didn't show up. I've got to find her, Casey, and if them fellas she was afraid of has done her any harm...
Can't you see, Tom, that you've been a fall guy for one of the oldest rackets in the world?
I won't believe that. You know your way around this city. I don't. Now, how do I go about finding Mary Bell?
You go down to police headquarters and tell your story.
But I can't do that. She didn't want the police to know.
Oh, I remember, yeah. Well, for your future protection, pal, come across the street to the Express building with me. We just might find a picture of your Mary Bell in our petty racket smile.
Casey, I told you I wouldn't find anyone who looked like that little lady among your pictures of female crooks.
Well, she's been smart enough not to get mugged for our files, I guess, that's all.
Will you do now, as I asked you to do at first? Try to find a photo in your high society files. That's where she belongs. Oh, yes. She's a good singer, too.
Singer?
Yes, she gave one of them concerts here once.
She gave a concert?
Uh-huh. She let that slip when I said she had a beautiful speaking voice.
Well, let the humor you, Tom. We'll see what's cross-filed under concerts.
That's her, Casey. That's the picture of Mary Bell.
You're sure? Wait a minute, Tommy. You sure?
Of course I'm sure. What's the stuff in the file say about her?
Oh. Mary Bell Warren. Daughter of Stephen Warren, socially prominent banker.
You see, Casey?
Yeah, I see. Concert, May 1945 at Maxwell Hall. House guest of Mrs. Donald P. Burgess. Hey, the Mary Bell must be the real goods. Mrs. Donald P. Burgess is big stuff around
I told
here.
you.
Okay, I've been wrong before. Yeah. Now I want to find this gal and know what goes on as much as you do. This looks like the beginning of a front-page story. Let me get that phone.
But what you going to do?
Wait a minute. Hello, this is Casey, operator. Get me Mrs. Donald P. Burgess. That's right, Mrs. Donald P. Burgess. Yeah, thanks very much, Mrs. Burgess. I know I've given you cause for worry, and I'm sorry. Yes, I'll call you back the moment we learn anything. Goodbye.
What'd she say, Casey?
Mary Bell Warren phoned her shortly after 2 o'clock this morning.
That must have been right after she left me.
That's right, Tom. She asked Mrs. Burgess if she could come up to her place, that she had to have some advice.
You see? Something happened to her.
Well, yeah, the girl never did show up. Afraid that's the way it adds up, too. Whatever happened must have started, though, about 3 months ago.
What do you mean?
Because Mrs. Burgess said that Miss Warren and her family are old friends, you see, and 3 months ago, she got a letter from the gal's mother in the South, saying that Mary Bell had abruptly decided to come here. And that phone call this morning is the first that anyone has heard from her.
Well, what in tarnation do you suppose?
Well, what basis have I got to suppose anything? A strange babe takes you for $100 with what sounds like the gal in distress gag. And she turns out to have a millionaire father and top-hat social connections.
Well, we're wasting time here. We've got to find that little...
Now, wait a minute. That's too big a job for you and me, pal. We gotta take this to the cops.
Neil, guess you're right.
Yeah, I'll probably crab my chance of an exclusive, but... Well, we'll take this picture of Miss Warren and get him started.
Casey?
Oh, hello, Annie. Hey, Annie, come in here a minute. Well, look, you get a lot of wound-page assignments. Ever run across the blonde in this picture?
Face is familiar. Hey, Casey, I saw her last night.
You what, huh?
You saw her last night.
Yeah, at Pink Bannister's Club.
Pink Bannister.
Yeah, she's a singer there.
In that lousy joint?
Oh, yeah, she did seem awfully out of place. She looked like a lady, and she had a sweet voice. Well, why've you got her picture?
Come on, I'll tell you on our way to Pink Bannister's.
What makes you interested in my blonde singer, Casey?
Oh, Miss Williams heard her here last night, Pink. Thought she was good. That's
Good enough to deserve a little free publicity, Mr. Bannister.
This cowboy gonna help you get it?
I've already explained that Tom Morrissey is a friend of ours. We just brought him along.
That's right.
What's the girl's name, Mr. Bannister? I didn't catch it last night.
Her name's Lottie Dunbar.
Lottie Dunbar.
Yeah.
How long she worked for you?
Ooh, about 2 months.
Where does she live?
Montrose Hotel.
Oh, it's not a very classy joint. How late does she work here?
Well, our last floor show is 3 a.m.
Did she work that late this morning?
No, she said she was sick. She left early.
We need more than that information. I want to know why she
Now, wait a
left
minute,
early.
Tom. I asked you to keep your mouth shut.
I'm sorry, Chief.
Hey, I don't get this.
All right. Might as well give it to you straight. We have reason to believe that something's happened to Lottie Dunbar.
Something's happened?
Yeah. What made her leave here early?
I've already told you.
Did she come to you and say she was sick?
Yeah, here in my office. Now, that's all I know.
Was, anyone with you at the time?
Well, yeah, a couple of chumps had gotten into a fight on the floor. My boys had brought him in here for a cooling off. I talked one of them out of it, sent him home. The other was still in here with me.
Well, that checks, Casey. I told you about that fight, and I saw Gallo leave this office, and the other man hadn't come out when I left with Uncle Wilmer.
Hey, who was this other man, Pink?
Just a quarrelsome drunk I never met before and I never want to see again. Well, after I collected the bill he owed, one of my boys put him out, told him not to come back. Now, suppose you tell me why you think something's happened to the Dunbar girl.
Well, it's too long a story to go into now. But if we don't find her soon in good health, you'll hear all about it from the cops.
I can't tell them any more than I've told you, Casey.
Okay, Pink. Come on, Annie, let's go. Come on, Tom. Try the Montrose Hotel. So long, Pink.
So long.
Goodbye.
Huh? Hello?
Yeah, boss.
Come here.
Want me I should follow them wise guys?
Yeah, I want to know every place they go and about everyone they talk to.
I'll be with them all the way.
And, if it seems necessary...
Sure, boss. I know what to do.
Our story will continue in just a moment. Well, Alex, here's tonight's question. What was the world's first one-way container?
Shoot, Tony. What was the world's first one-way container?
An egg.
An egg? Say, you're right. When you open an eggshell, you know that you're the first and last to use it.
And it's the same way with the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle. It's never been used before. It will never be used again.
The Anchor Glass one-way bottle brings you beer and ale as it's meant to taste.
Clean, clear, sparkling.
Beer that's brewery bright.
Unaffected by any foreign flavor.
And when you've enjoyed the beer, you dispose of the empty bottle as you would any other food container.
No deposit, no fuss, no empties to be returned.
The one-way bottle. The safest, most convenient way to buy beer.
Yes, indeed. And that's why the revolutionary new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle is sweeping America. For perfect flavor, demand beer in glass bottles. For extra convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle. A product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Well, the hotel manager told us Mary Bell didn't come home this morning and ain't been seen since yesterday.
No, I figured all this would be a waste of time. Well, let's get back to the car.
Okay.
One thing to do now, let's go to the cops.
Which means goodbye exclusive.
Miss Williams, how can you think of newspaper stories when that little lady may be heard
Oh,
of?
I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison.
See, Tom, we got to be impersonal in our jobs. If we weren't, we... Hey, wait a minute.
What?
That guy getting into the green car up ahead of us.
Yes.
Seems to me that green convertible was behind us when we drove up here.
It was. I noticed it.
Hey, Casey, I've just placed that man. He was one of the bouncers who broke up the fight in Bannister's place last night.
Oh, that's very interesting, Annie. All right, I'll start our car and see what he does. You and Tom keep an eye on him.
Okay. He's following us, all right.
Is he alone in the car?
Yeah.
He may be closer to information about Mary Bell Warren than we figured a few minutes ago. If that guy is tailing us, I've got an idea.
His car lights are only about 100 yards behind us now, Casey.
I thought he'd creep up on us. All right, get ready for action, Tom.
I'm ready.
Now, look, Casey, the man in that car will have a gun, and neither you nor Mr. Morrison...
Tom and I know what's going to happen, Annie. That mug doesn't.
We're coming to another turn.
Okay, now brace yourself. I'm shoving the brakes on hard.
He's going to hit us, Casey.
No, swerving off the road.
Had to. We're in the middle of it.
Hit car's in the ditch.
All right, come on, Tom, quick.
I'm with you.
You stay here, Annie. Drive our car to the roadside.
Yeah, okay, I know my part.
Take your hands off me. Take that gun. That's a big idea. You guys forced me off the road and then
Don't play innocent. Are you going to tell us what you know about Mary Bell Warren?
I don't know what you're talking about. You're one of Pink Bannister's gang. You've been following us. You got me wrong.
We've got you right.
You choked me, cowboy.
I'll squeeze the daylights out unless you talk. What's happened to Mary Bell Warren?
I never heard of that name before, I swear.
Change your tune.
Easy, Tom. Wait a minute. He doesn't know that name. What happened to Lottie Dunbar?
The lady who was singing in your boss's place. Talk.
You better talk, punk. You haven't got a gun now.
Talk, I said.
I will. If you won't go to work on me, I'll spill all I got. But it ain't much, honest. All right, spill what you got. Okay. Last night, there was a fight in the club, see? Between two drunks. Yeah, that South American guy, Gallo. And another guy I never seen before. Me and the head bouncer, Jim Robbins, we broke it up. And Pink had a shag that scrappers in his private office. Pink told me to get back into the club, but Jim stayed in the office. All right, go on. Well, a little later, I get a rush call from Jim to go with him. And all he tells me is that this here babe, this Lottie Dunbar, has just been caught snooping on the boss's private business. For us to go get her. This was just before 2 o'clock. Yeah. Well, me and Jim rush out of the joint just in time to see her get into a cab with this here cowboy.
So you followed us?
No, I didn't follow. Jim sent me back to tell Pink everything was under control. Jim Robbins followed it. Yeah, in another cab. I don't know what happened after that, honest.
You're lying.
Yes, sir, help me, I ain't. What did Pink say when you told him Robbins had everything under control? Well, he said to keep my mouth shut, that's all. And I ain't seen Jim Robbins since. I swear I don't know what's happened to that little wife.
Tell the truth, you ornery skunk.
Hold it, Tom, hold it. Bannister's a cagey guy. He wouldn't let a punk like this in on anything big. And kidnapping is plenty big.
We'll go to Bannister. I'll beat the truth out of him.
Wait a minute, wait. You, Mug. You said the girl was caught snooping while Gallo and that other guy were in Pink's office. That's the way I got it from Jim. I think Senor Gallo is the guy for us to call on next, Tom. Come on, Punk, you're traveling with us.
I can tell you nothing more. When I was in that Bannister club last night, a strange man insulted me, and I struck him. Then in his office, Senor Bannister made the man apologize, and I came back here to my hotel. That is all that happened in Senor Bannister's office.
I think you're forgetting something that happened there, Mr. Gallo.
No.
Yes, look here. The girl has been kidnapped, possibly killed, because she saw or overheard something in Bannister's office that you can tell us about. You got to cover up for the rats that snatched her?
I do not know.
You do know. I'm sure of it because you're scared. You're scared, and it shows in every move you make, every word you say. What are you afraid of, Gallo?
Well,
If you don't tell us, mister, we'll find out.
Yes, you will find out. And the police. I was a fool to think it could be kept a secret.
Let's have it.
Last night in that office, I killed a man.
You killed a man?
Yes, I am a murderer.
Who did you kill?
The man who insulted me. I was drinking too much champagne and I have bad hot temper. In that office, this man insulted me again. I remember that. Then I struck him. Then he hit me back hard and knocked me down. Everything went black. When I again knew what was going on, Senor Bannister and a man who worked for him were holding my arms. The man who hit me was on the floor, dead. And it was my gun that shot him.
What happened then?
Senor Bannister, he said he will not tell police. He said he and that man who worked for him will hide the dead body and protect me.
That's what Mary Bell overheard, Casey.
Yes, of course.
What did Bannister say it'd cost you for his protection, Mr. Gallo?
Oh, he did not say anything. He only told me to go home, that he will take care of everything, and I will hear from him.
Oh, you'll hear from him, all right.
We've got all we need to nail Bannister now, Casey.
I'll say we have.
While you call the police to arrest this murderer, I'll be on my way to Bannister's place. I'm going to make him tell me what's been done to Mary Bell, and if she ain't alive...
Wait, Tom, wait. You'd only be tipping our hand, maybe losing our chance of finding that girl.
Casey's right, Miss Morrissey.
Well, what shall we do?
Well, first I'll call the cops.
To arrest me?
Yes, Mr. Gallo. Thing doesn't add up. Not at all.
What do you mean, Casey?
I'll think of it. Oh, hello, headquarters. Connecting with homicide, will you, Captain Logan? Tom, here's what I mean.
Yeah.
If Miss Warren was snooping on Bannister while he covered up a murder, he had reason for kidnapping her. But why was she snooping? Why was she working in his joint? Why didn't she run to the cops?
Yeah, there's a lot of funny things.
Yeah, including that crack about her family honor. And another thing. Oh, wait a minute. Hello, Logan. It's Casey speaking. Listen, Logan, I'm going to be down to headquarters in about 20 minutes with a very wealthy Senor Jose Gallo. Because he says he's a murderer. Yeah, he just made a confession. Yeah, well, wait a minute. Now, let me tell you something now that's really important. Put a tap on Pink Bannister's telephone lines, Logan. Yeah, right away, yes. And put a shadow on him, too, the best you got. I'll tell you why when I see you. Logan, it's too long a story to go into now. But do it, will you, pal, and quick. We're starting right away. Goodbye. Tom, I think we can expect action from Mr. Pink Bannister very soon.
You want him shadowed?
And, his phone line's tapped.
Because he's going to receive a report from one of his hired hands as soon as it's done. Who? The punk right here.
Who, me?
Yes, you. With my fingers around your neck. And you'll tell him you're still spying on us. That we've been talking to Senor Gallo, that we've just left his hotel with him, and you overheard us say we were taking him to police headquarters. We'll be at police headquarters when you phone that report.
I get it, Casey. Bannister will guess that Gallo's confessed to it, and he'll make some kind of a break.
I think so, Annie. You know, I've acquired a hunch about that family honor gag of Mary Bell's.
Oh? What is it?
Oh, no. It's the kind of hunch I might talk myself out of if I talked about it. Let's get down to Logan's.
Nearly 5 minutes since that mug phoned our dictated report, Casey. You figured Bannister'd make a move right after.
Look, allow him a few minutes to think, Logan. The punk handed him a shock with that news about Gallo.
Also, the man on his tapped wire and those covering the club have to have time to phone you after he does something, Captain.
Now, this phone's completely cleared for their calls, Miss Williams, and if Casey hasn't guessed wrong...
If Casey's guessed wrong, Miss Maribel's life won't be worth a nickel.
Will you give my guess a chance, Tom?
Hey, there's our ring.
Logan speaking. Now, go ahead. Yeah? Yeah? 1287 Jastrow Street? I got it. Okay, Flanagan, get out there the quick way. We'll be right behind you.
Bannister's left the club?
Just now, with 2 guys tailing him and Sergeant Flanagan with the squad going direct, as we'll go.
Come on.
He's gone into the house, Captain.
That's all I've been waiting for, cowboy. My men have the joint completely surrounded. Come on.
That big window in front, Logan?
Now, watch out for flying glass, Miss Williams.
Now, my head's down, Captain.
Here goes.
Hands up, Bannister! You 2 other mugs. Now get the cuffs on him, man.
Come on, you 2 guys.
Hey, that black-haired man, Casey. He's the one Gallo had the fight with. Alive.
That proves my hunch, Annie. He's the guy Gallo was supposed to have murdered.
Supposed to have murdered?
Yes, Logan. There wasn't any killing. Those guys simply put on an act that was convincing to Gallo. They expected to collect millions for covering up his crime, but Miss Warren got wise to the gag, and Gallo confessed.
Where's Miss Maribel? If you've harmed one hair of her head, Bannister...
And she hasn't been hurt.
We found the girl, Captain.
Maribel!
Oh, Mr. Morrissey, I knew you'd find me.
Well, that's a pretty picture. Hold it, will you?
It's like romance, Casey.
At least a reasonable facsimile there.
How'd you get wise to this fake murder business, Casey?
Well, Logan, all the parts wouldn't fit together in any other pattern. Look, after I get a few more pictures, I'll tell you why. Smile for the camera, Bannister, will you?
You dirty lousy.
Such a sour disposition.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You've often heard a woman say, I don't mind washing dishes so much, but oh, those pots and pans. That's because she uses ordinary pots and pans. Now, when you use Fire King oven glass, you reduce that tiresome kitchen drudgery to a minimum. First, because Fire King oven glass is so amazingly easy to clean. Fire King is a special non-porous surface that's literally mirror smooth. It comes clean in a jiffy and never absorbs baking stains or odors. Now, second, you save dishwashing time because you bake, serve, and store leftovers all in the same Fire King dish. You'll find a wide variety of Fire King casseroles, pie plates, and general utility dishes in all sizes at chain and department stores and wherever household glass is sold, all at amazingly low prices, all guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Ask for Fire King oven glass by name. Fire King is a product of Anchor Hocking. the most famous name in glass.
Figured Mary Belle Warren had taken a job at Bannister's joint in order to spy on him, huh, Casey?
Well, we know now, Ethelbert, that Bannister worked his fake murder gag on Miss Warren's brother about a year ago. Has been blackmailing him ever since.
Her brother finally confessed the supposed killing to Mary Belle, and she refused to believe that he'd murder anyone. So she came down here under an assumed name to get the lowdown.
That guy Bannister had some racket, making people believe they were murderers and then blackmailing them.
Yep. Uh-huh. That's exactly what they did to Mary Belle's brother, who, like Gallo, had been drinking too much to think straight, you know.
There's one thing I don't quite get yet.
What's that?
Miss Mary Belle Warren had money. Why did she borrow $100 from that cowboy?
Oh, she's a smart babe, pal. In case Bannister's mugs caught up with her, you see, as Jim Robbins did.
Uh-huh.
Well, she figured the loss of $100 would make Tom try to find her.
She's convinced now that he didn't need such an incentive.
Think him and her are going to team up this way?
Looks like an order for a double harness.
Yeah, it really does. You know, Ethelbert, I suppose your sister Edna would say, quote, two can live as cheaply as one, unquote.
Oh, no, Casey.
No?
No, she knows better than that.
Oh.
She says, quote, anybody can be a cowboy. All you gotta do is sit on your kitchen stove and sing Home, Home on the Range. Unquote.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Once a year, you have the wonderful opportunity of helping your community through your community chest. You're urged to give generously because in no other way can so many needy people and so many worthy causes be helped so well. The community chest. Everybody gives, everybody benefits. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Say, Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. George Young is a tugboat captain. He started work 25 years ago as a deckhand on a towing vessel in New York's East River. Today, he is an experienced docking pilot. He lives an unspectacular, balanced life with his wife and 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, in Bergenfield, New Jersey. His everyday responsibilities include the exacting task of nuzzling such great liners as the Queen Mary, the Queen Elizabeth, the America, and the Ile de France safely into their Manhattan piers and out again into the stream. What values has this maritime man distilled from life?
One night, many years ago, I was on the bridge of a ship that passed one of our large cities on a quiet night. I saw its lights reflected in the sky and heard the rumbling of the city's noises. As I looked to my other side, I could see nothing but open space of darkness and endless water. I realized how small I was and that my own problems of life did not seem great. I have spent 25 years on boats. Now I am a docking pilot. My job is to bring in the large luxury liners and stay with them until they are safely moored in their berths. Sometimes this requires 2 tugs, sometimes many more, depending on the tide, the weather, and the draft of the vessel. Most of you, no doubt, have seen these tugs pushing and pulling at the big liners. What they are doing doesn't seem to make much sense, but presently the big boat's alongside her pier. Her hawse is made fast, and the job is done. These tugs, whether one or 10, move about in accord with whistle signals I send them from the bridge of the big liner. These signals make up a language that is just as dependable as the spoken word, or even more so, because our docking signals are rarely misunderstood. The captain of each tug does his work according to the signals he receives. He never asks questions, he takes everything on faith, and it always works out. Working around tugboats where so much depends on teamwork has its effects on what I believe. I believe that if I am to attain a successful place in the world, I must have the help of my fellow man, just as the great transatlantic liners depend on the help of little tugs to bring them safely to port. I felt very important the first time I ever docked a big liner. She came riding up the harbor on a flood tide and towered over the stout little tug that carried me. As we drew alongside, a doorway opened almost at water level, and 2 smartly rigged sailors helped me aboard. I was escorted to the bridge, where I took over from the captain. I realized I was in control of a great ship worth millions of dollars, and the owners were depending on me to bring her safely to her berth. After I had docked several of the large liners, I realized I was not important, but simply the quarterback to call the signals. In spite of what we read in the newspapers, I have great faith in this country, and I pray that a peaceful understanding will come to this unsettled world, so that my children can grow in a world that will give them happiness instead of bloodshed. I believe this will come about. I remember the understanding and sympathy that took over this country back in 1949, when a little girl named Kathy Fiskus fell into an abandoned well out in California. Engineers and sandhogs and people in all walks of life worked almost 3 days, and when they got her out, she was dead. People sent in thousands of dollars in rescue funds, but those who did the work and furnished the equipment wouldn't take money. They worked for bigger stakes. I talked to captain of foreign ships that came into New York Harbor, and they were just as concerned as we Americans over the tragedy. I believe some way will be found to work together for world peace with the same sympathy and understanding that people work to rescue little Kathy Fiskus. I believe God will someday bring this about.
That was Captain George Young, a senior tugboat skipper for the Moran Towing Company in New York Harbor, who, one feels, has managed to keep his beliefs on an even keel in these troubled times.
Does not pay.
I tell you, Jackie, we can be smart. And if we're smart, no more cut liquor in cheap nightclubs.
Hey, this is a big nightclub, baby. You saying it's cheap?
Look at it. Not even a tablecloth. The waiters pay no attention. The drinks are bad. The music sounds like nothing. Oh, sweetie, I know it's the best now. And you're very sweet to give the best you can, but look, you have friends. There can be more, many more. And if we're smart, we can be big. I have a plan, Jackie, a plan. And when it works, not even the cops will bother us. Understand? Not even the cops.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear The Weak Spot, starring Margot. Crime Does Not Pay, starring Margot as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot. Maya Grimson knew poverty from the day she was born. She grew up in it, and the beauty and intelligence that were hers found no use, no setting, no outlet in the life she found herself living. Inside, the canker grew, starting with a small bitterness of envy and developing into a grim determination to seize by force, if necessary, all the material things that did not come any other way. Maya herself had no words for this, but it was there, awaiting the moment. Maya had little of anything, but her most cherished possession, if it could be called that, was her passion for lackadaisical, easygoing Jackie Wallace. It was for Jackie that Maya was putting together a supper of sorts one evening.
All right, come in.
Hi, baby. How's every little thing?
No. Don't kiss me now.
What's the matter? Something wrong, my baby?
It's so hot. I'm tired of cooking yesterday's stew.
Well, baby, this is your night out. That's what I came to tell you.
Out? Where? The hot dog stand at the corner?
Now, get this, honey. We're stepping out tonight. I got a 10-spot, and old Alex Hamilton is crying for a date with you.
Who died?
Nobody. Why?
Never mind. Where'd you get this $10?
Business was good. All the suckers were riding long shots today. The book showed a real profit.
$10.
Well, look, baby, you know it ain't often that we got $10 to toss around. You don't want to go out, just say so.
Hey, when did we go dancing last, Jackie?
Gee, I don't remember.
And tonight?
Dump the stew, baby. We'll go to the 38 Club and have a time.
Sure, we'll go. Hey, what's wrong with me, darling?
Nothing that I can see. You're beautiful.
Yeah, no decent clothes.
You're bright.
I live in one room with a gas.
Snap out of it, honey. There's nothing wrong with you. Tonight's our night to howl.
Oh, all right. Now, get out. Shoot. Out with you. Let me put on my one good dress, huh? 10 minutes, Dad. Downstairs in 10 minutes.
You got a voice, baby. You know, when you hit those low notes, I get goosebumps.
Hiya, Jackie. Hey, you have a good day today, huh?
Hi, Boogie. Great. How about you?
I'm not bad. I'll have to suck you.
Hi, Fred. Hi, Jack. Hi, nice guy, Fred. You know, all the boys are out tonight. There's Tommy, and I saw Vince at the bar when we came in. Not a bad combo, then, huh?
Well, they finished together.
Hey, let's see Tom Stars.
Will it be as great as that stew?
Probably not, but you didn't have to cook it. That's something, ain't it? Come on, sit down, baby.
Hey, your friend over there held the chair for his girl.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. You know me. I'm always forgetting things like that.
Yeah. Someday.
Hello, Wallace.
Oh. You.
Yeah, me. Don't you introduce your friends, Wallace?
This is Detective Masters, Precinct Gambling Detail. Masters, Miss Grimson.
How do you do?
Nice to know you. Wallace, I understand the boys made quite a killing in the 4th today.
Did they? I wouldn't know about it.
I think you would. Or you wouldn't be here with a girl.
You're the detective.
I also happen to know about souped-up odds. Some phony rumors that got around.
Look, why talk to me about that? I'm not the syndicate.
The syndicate isn't my business.
Why not, Mr. Masters?
I'm on the precinct detail.
I see. You're interested only in making everything a little harder for people like Jackie. Even when we're trying to have a good time, you come around.
You finished, Miss Grimson?
When you have the evidence, that's time enough, isn't it? Why can't you leave us alone? What?
Well, I have the evidence. I won't waste time in conversation. You understand, Wallace? That's all. Good evening, Miss Grimson. Nice to have met you.
Not even to eat or dance in peace.
Oh, look, baby, that's the way it is. Always was, always will be.
Look, if you're big enough, they leave you alone.
The big fellas have lawyers. They got money, protection.
I hate a man like that.
Masters, I'll lay off him, baby. He's only doing his job.
Yeah, his job. What do I care about his job? I care about you. I care about us.
Honey, will you eat your dinner?
I don't want to eat dinner. Look, I say we can be stronger than this detective, this precinct detective.
Okay, then what?
Jackie, don't you see? Can't you see?
Oh, look, Maya, baby, all I see right now is that you're beautiful.
All right. All you ever see is right now, today, tonight, this minute.
Sure, why worry about tomorrow?
Why not? Jackie, we can be big.
Oh, stop kidding yourself, baby.
I tell you, Jackie, look, we gotta get smart. If we're smart, no more cut liquor and cheap nightclubs.
Hey, this is a big nightclub, baby. You saying it's cheap?
Look at it. Not even a tablecloth. The waiters pay no attention. The drinks are bad. The music is rotten. Oh, I know it's the best now. And you're darn sweet to give the best you can. But look, Jackie, you have friends. There can be more, many more. If we're smart, we can make it. We can make... I have a plan, Jackie, a plan. And when it works, we'll be so big, not even the cops will bother us.
You've been thinking about this.
I have plenty of time for thinking, Jackie. Now, look. Listen. The first thing we gotta do is find out how to get protection.
From the cops? Are you kidding?
Not from the cops. From having to work by yourself. So far out in the open that the cops see you.
Well, that takes money, kid. You know that.
All right. And we have no money. But we could get it. If your friends went in with you. Are you beginning to get it, Jackie?
Yeah, maybe I am. Maybe you got something on you, baby. We better do a little figuring, you and I. But that's for later, honey. Right now, eat your dinner. Everything's getting cold.
Okay, Jackie. Now you call a meeting. What's on your mind? If I may, gentlemen. You go ahead, son. Even if you don't understand, you're okay to look at. This is strictly business, gentlemen. What Jackie and I have to say is this. We can get us all protection. We know where and how. If you come in with us, you'll all double your incomes, and it'll cost you only a few dollars a week. That's it. And that, as Jackie said, is news.
Hey, this is quite a joint, Maya. This is real plush.
Nicer than the Club 38.
Maya.
Hmm?
Stop figuring in that book for a minute and listen.
I'm listening, dear.
You know, at the Club 38, you sang while we danced.
Yeah, I sang until that Masters stopped at the table.
You haven't forgotten that, have you?
Say, you're Wallace, aren't you?
You know, we seem to attract people to our tables in nightclubs everywhere, Jackie.
Maya, this is Stiff Ferris and,
Mr. Norton.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Won't you both sit down? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
When did you get into our town, Mr. Perez?
We flew in this afternoon.
Oh, I see.
Hey, that's our tune, Maya. You want to dance? I think Mr. Ferris and Miss Norton will excuse us.
I'm a little tired, Jackie.
I like that song, too. I'd love to dance.
Go ahead, Wallace. If you want to, that is.
Maya?
Go ahead, dear. Miss Norton is our guest.
Miss Norton?
Thank you. And thank you, Miss Grimson.
Not at all.
Well, this is an unexpected pleasure, Miss Norton.
Your Miss Norton is well trained. She takes the cue very smoothly.
Yeah, a foot pressed gently under the table.
You know, she's better than you give her credit for. That was my foot you pressed.
I see. You seem to know something of my purpose, Miss Grimson.
Well, I know that Stiff is, shall we say, a kind of advance agent for the syndicate?
I represent a group of businessmen, if that's what you mean.
Well, It all adds up the same way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it does.
I assume you have some proposition to place before us, Mr. Ferris.
Before you, we know where the brains are in your organization.
Oh. Very nice compliment.
It's the truth.
Well, then, since we're indulging in the truth, Mr. Ferris, here's the truth for you. We are not interested in your proposition.
Don't you think you'd better be?
Frankly, no. I don't think you can touch my operation. I think you would find the cost made the proposition unattractive. And besides, you know, everyone who works with me is intensely loyal, including Jackie. And strong-arm tactics might cost, well, too many expendables. And now, if you will excuse me, Mr. Ferris, I'll ask Jackie to get my wrap. Oh, yes. If you want a message to take back with you, you might say that you found the partnership here is limited. Limited to 2 people. Jackie Wallace and Maya Grimson. Good evening, Mr. Ferris. Nice to have met you.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with The Weak Spot. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Margot as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot. Maya Grimson walked away from Stiff Paris, found Jackie, and left the nightclub. And as all good generals do when the first skirmish has been concluded, Maya doubled her outposts and waited for the next attack. Meanwhile, the enemy was not idle. Stiff Paris and Lissa Norton make the report to their boss, Marv Harding.
And so it's no deal. That's the story, Marv.
Apparently, you'll never reach the stage of bargaining, Stiff.
The lady just wasn't interested.
Listen.
I didn't hear the conversation. I was dancing with Wallace.
According to plan.
Of course. What would you say to a little, persuasion in that territory?
No, Lissa and I cased the area before we came back here. Everything the Grimson woman said is true. Frankly, I don't think taking over by force would be worth the cost. Too much noise. The police down there are allergic to noise.
I see. She have gun salts?
Enough. It seems that everyone makes dough with her, so they'll stick by her.
Very smart operation. Only way I know for an independent to hold on to an organization is to let the little fellows make more than we can afford to let them have. But we can't afford to let her get away with it either. Too many others might get the same idea.
Well, if she puts up a good fight, it'll have the same effect. And she will.
There's a weak spot somewhere. There must be. There always is.
No, not in that outfit.
Maybe not in it. Maybe at the top.
Go on, listen.
Wallace.
Leave it to a woman. Why do you think so?
His line while he danced, his whole attitude, even the way he held me dancing.
Nah, he's just a punk.
Maybe. I can think of several classic cases where a woman lost her head over a punk.
Yeah.
Want to move in, Lissa?
Could be. I might be persuaded to take candy from a baby.
Oh, that easy, eh?
For me, it will be. And if I do...
All business, aren't we?
Well, Stiff is a very good teacher.
Thanks.
You're welcome. There's a certain bracelet. Stiff knows the one I mean. He couldn't afford it.
Break up that partnership. Take the woman's mind off her. Work long enough for us to get a foot in the door without any trouble. And you'll get your jewelry. Go do it, Lissa.
Yeah, Wallace here.
Jack, this is Lissa Norton.
Oh, when did you get in town?
A little while ago. I'm alone this trip, Jack.
I see. Well, see it.
Your girlfriend won't like it. I represent the enemy.
You know, there's an old saying, what she won't know won't hurt her.
Can you be sure she won't know?
I'll be sure. How about 8:30 tonight?
Have a good time yesterday, Jackie?
Didn't do anything special.
Don't you think it's a little chilly along the coast road for a convertible with the top down? You know, bright blonde hair and a green dress are rather conspicuous.
Okay, so I took her for a ride. So what?
Jack, you fool. She works for Paris and the syndicate.
She's not working now.
How do you know?
I know. Never mind how.
I want you to stop seeing her.
I'll see who I please. You may run the organization, but you don't run me.
Jackie.
Oh, I'm sorry, my baby. I'm sorry.
Yes, you're sorry, and I'm a fool. Fool enough to let you get away with nearly anything. Oh, Jackie, what's happened? We've got everything we wanted, and we've got nothing. Or it feels that way, anyhow. Oh, Jack, you're sweet.
You know, this is something new, listen. A woman, well, someone like you treating me the way you do.
When we danced that first night when Stiff and your girl got rid of both of us so neatly, didn't you know then, honey?
Did you?
I knew. I knew from the way your arms went around me.
Yeah, we do go well together, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And we could stay together. We could.
No, listen, baby, you don't know the kind of heat that's on.
Maya?
Maya may have ideas about being a big shot and everything, but she's not dumb. She knew when you hit town. She knew about that day we spent in the convertible.
Has she been watching herself?
She doesn't have to. The boys do a lot of odd jobs for her.
Takes them away from other things, doesn't it?
I suppose.
Well, aren't you interested?
Look, honey, I'm interested in the present, and you're the present.
I could be the future, too.
Oh, listen, baby, the odds are too long.
Maybe not. You know, the syndicate might throw in a bonus. Me?
What about Stiff?
Oh, we just work together.
Maya's pretty strong. How do you figure it?
You're half the team. Or are you?
You bet I am. It was all mine in the beginning.
Then you're in a spot to throw a couple of monkey wrenches, enough to weaken the organization so Stiff could get his foot in the door. After that, she'd have to make a deal or lose the works, and you'd get half of what she's got. With an extra on the side.
The extra being you.
Me.
Any samples, Elizabeth, baby? What's that?
Oh, there's somebody at the wrong door. Nobody has a key to this room, not even you, sweetheart. It's nice to have enough influence to get a bellhop to swipe a master key, isn't it? Okay. You're in. Now what?
Maya, I told you.
Have you forgotten the 2-day-old stew in the room with the gas ring, Jackie? Everything was pretty personal then.
Now you'll tell me that everything you've done was for me.
For both of us.
I was satisfied.
Want to go back to the $2 bets, Jackie, to a 10 spot every 3 months? The masters pushing you around?
You'll never have to do that kind of a thing.
You'll see to that,
Why not?
I have one reason why not. What?
Maya, you've never fired a gun in your life.
I never did a lot of things. Once I'd never broken the law. Or tasted caviar or worn nylons. But there's a first time for everything. It's like ducking back to a cop. Or pulling a trigger.
Murder rap, Maya. It's murder rap.
Yeah, it could be murder and suicide if the gun was found in her hand.
Maya, for heaven's sake.
You'll never get away with it. Stiff it, no. Even if the cop don't figure it, he will. And he'll see to it that you die slow.
If you'd only left him alone, did you have to have everything?
You wouldn't even listen to a proposition. You were too big. You tried to fight the syndicate. You can't do that and get away with it.
Keep back. Keep away from me. Keep
Afraid
back.
you'll miss? Afraid I'll jump you? You don't dare.
Maya.
It hurts.
Maya.
I can't stand.
It hurts.
Maya, stop it if you're going crazy.
You aren't worth it. You aren't worth any of it. You aren't even worth keeping alive.
Maya, baby, we'll get away together. You'll see. We'll get away. You and me just like old times.
Not worth keeping alive. Maya! One more. There's one more thing. One more. There's got to be one more. What? Not even that. Not even a bullet for myself.
What do you want of me, Miss Grimson? I didn't think big shot bookmakers of any gender bothered with precinct detectives.
I remembered your name, Mr. Milton.
It's nice of you. What's your story?
I killed them.
Well, you want homicide. What?
I killed that girl. And Jackie.
When did you do this?
It must be hours ago. I've been walking ever since. I wanted to kill myself. The gun was empty. I used all the bullets. I didn't have any left. I didn't have any left.
Holy smoke.
I left them there on the floor. I tried to think. I went back to the old places. I remembered you. You started it all.
I started? Look, you trying to establish insanity in this?
No, you did. You didn't know it, but you did. That night, the Club 38, I was thought. You talked to Jackie. I wanted us to be big. I tried to think. So I came here. I have files. I know the syndicate. Do you want them?
Do we want them?
I'll give them to you. They don't know. I knew they'd try to take me over. I brought evidence. Nobody knew. Not even Jackie.
Sister, if you can do this, you can go down in history. Is this a deal?
A deal? What for?
Well, you've confessed murder. After you've given us this evidence, then what?
Then I don't care. I don't care. Jackie's dead. I killed him. I killed her, and then I couldn't stand him whining, afraid of me. I don't care. I killed him. There weren't any bullets left for me. I don't want to live. I don't want to live. I don't want to live.
Crime does not pay. Margot, who was starred as Maya Grimson in The Weak Spot, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Margot.
Maya Grimson was a criminal, but opportunity for her basic activities was presented to her by hundreds of people who did not look beyond their $2 bets, who did not realize that the racket they were supporting bleeds millions of dollars each year from the legitimate channels of honest business and constitutes a hidden tax that all of us have to share. Once again, it becomes clear that for the everyday citizen as well as for the criminal, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Margot. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. Sir Gerald Barry was the Director General of the Festival of Britain. The festival was for him a personal dream that finally became a reality. Soon after World War II, Barry, who was then a plain civilian, wrote a letter to Sir Stafford Cripps, then President of the Board of Trade. He suggested that the government should organize a national exhibition. In the summer of 1951, all the world saw at the festival the great past of Britain and got an insight into the future of that brave, dogged nation. The son of a country parson, Gerald Barry made his career in Fleet Street. He was an editor of the Saturday Review, Weekend Review, and the News Chronicle in London. Here now is Sir Gerald Barry.
To begin with, I believe there is a terrible, corrosive lack of belief in our Western world today, and that it is this lack of belief that is making us all so frightened and unhappy and driving the world to the verge of self-destruction. It affects both individuals and whole communities. I know it affects me. Speaking in terms of world affairs, there was a time before the Second World War when I knew exactly what I believed, when the world issues seemed crystal clear. One was happy then. Today I find the issues have become blurred and confused. But I believe that at such times in history as this, a particular and enhanced value attaches to tolerant, honest, liberal thought and behavior. Throughout this long confusion and amid the rising roar of propaganda, there's a temptation to surrender to a comfortable extreme and to begin to debase great and honorable words like justice, democracy, and freedom, by bandying them about to justify an emotion rather than to define a principle. I believe that to do this is to share in a betrayal of our intellectual heritage. I'm sorry if that sounds sententious, but it's the best way I can find of saying what I mean. I remember once hearing my father, an Anglican priest, say that there is only one deadly sin, and that is the sin of despair. And coming now to more personal or religious beliefs, I'm not able to believe the Christian faith as I was taught it as a child. But like most other people, I accept and try to live by many Christian principles. I think perhaps the greatest single contribution of Christianity to the world is its insistence on the sanctity of the individual. And I find myself taking comfort and delight in the dignity, the courage, and the amazing goodness of simple people. I don't ask myself whence or why it proceeds, this goodness, and I'm quite as ready to accept the existence of some controlling creative mind as not to do so. Disbelief is at least as difficult as belief. I'm not anyhow a philosopher by nature, and when pondering the mysteries of creation and the universe, I am apt to be content with wonder. I don't believe in personal survival after death, and this is a consolation to me, for I should be frightened or bored by the prospect of a disembodied eternity. It follows, I suppose, that the only reason I have to fear death is simply that it will mean the end of a wonderful experience. For life is obviously something to be enjoyed, and I believe we are almost under an obligation to enjoy it to the fullest extent of which we are capable, to use every moment of it to the utmost of our intelligence and our energies to add something to its happiness, its beauty, or its wisdom. I believe profoundly in the creative value of human love. I have found very much happiness in my own life in work, and especially in working with others, in the creative stimulus and fellowship of the team. But I know that the truest happiness can proceed only from the serenity of the private heart, and that when a man comes to his end, it is in terms of this alone, not of his public achievements, that his success or failure is to be measured.
That was Sir Gerald Barry, a journalist who is the Director General of the Festival of Britain.
Calling all detectives. A murdered man, a wire recorder that didn't record, and a shoe full of diamonds. These are the exhibits on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. You don't have to be a mind reader to be a private detective like me, Jerry Browning, but it certainly helps. The office of Chet Pearson, private detective, might have been my office. The same battered desk, a telephone, a big steel filing cabinet, a couple of straight-back chairs. There was only one difference. In this office, Chet Pearson lay slumped across the desk. He'd been shot 4 times through the heart. Lieutenant Dawson of Homicide walked over to me.
I'm taking that filing cabinet over to headquarters, Jerry. Check through all of Pearson's cases for possible lead.
I nodded. I suppose you have to. But I don't think you'll find anything, Dawson. The cabinet was unlocked. Nothing in it looks disturbed. Dawson seemed inclined to agree, but just the same.
Couple of you men, pick up that file cabinet. Easy, it's heavy.
2 cops started walking the cabinet across the floor. As they did, something wedged between the cabinet and the wall fell clattering to the floor. Dawson pounced on it, then turned to me.
A spool of wire. Know anything about this, Jerry?
I took the spool, examined it. Chet was a radio amateur, had his own shortwave call letters, made a lot of his own equipment. I turned the spool over in my hand. Dawson, you suppose this could be from a wire recorder? Because if it is, there may be voices on it. Even the voice of Pearson's killer. In the office of a murdered private detective who was also a radio amateur, we found a spool of wire that looked as though it might be the kind of wire on which voices can be recorded. At the police laboratory, the lab technician took the wire spool, threaded it into the machine.
I don't think the stuff is recording wire. Too thin. Well, try it anyway.
I watched as the technician uncoiled the snapped wire from the machine.
Pearson must have used this wire to wind coils. Certainly didn't record voice on it.
And that was the end of a potential clue. I picked up the spool. Mind if I take this?
Go ahead. It's worthless to us.
With the wire in my pocket, I went on back to my office, sat down at my own battered desk, stared at my own filing cabinet and straight-back chairs. Not much to show for 10 years of risking your life. But then I never knew an honest private detective who got rich from his work. Chet Pearson was honest. And at the end of the road, all he got was 4 slugs in his heart. As payment in full. That and a little short-wave station that he'd mostly built himself. An idea stirred at the back of my head. Hello, Chronicle. I want to place a classified ad under personals. Well, I'll read it to you. Jerry Browning, private detective, announces that he has taken over the practice of Chet Pearson, deceased. Confidential investigations. Conversations recorded with latest electronic equipment as perfected by Pearson. Put on my name and address, substitute it for my regular ad until canceled. The clerk in the radio parts store thought I was crazy.
A portable recording set strapped around your body? Well, sure, it could be done, but with batteries that weigh over 50 pounds, and it looked like a radio set with shoes.
2 hours later, I had a lapel microphone with wires leading from it to an arrangement of coils and miniature batteries strapped around my waist. Best of all was a little housing containing a tiny spool of recording wire that wound from one reel onto another when I pressed a button in my pocket.
You understand it's not doing anything, just winding from one side to the other. That dough guys will spend just for that.
When I got back to my office, I had a conversation with Dawson and warned him about my ad. Then I waited. The ad got almost immediate results. People for whom Pearson had worked and who assumed I'd made some sort of arrangement with his heirs to buy his practice. I stalled all offers of cases until Jonathan T. Alcott arrived. He was tall, suave, and bulged suspiciously in the vicinity of his left armpit. Mr. Browning, I'm a dealer in precious stones, and my business is of such a nature that I occasionally require proof of certain conversations. I leaned back in my chair. I know all about you, Mr. Alcott. Pearson left a spool with part of a conversation you had with him recorded on it. I eased my jacket open, let Alcott look at the apparatus. See that wire turning? It's recording our conversation through this lapel microphone, just like Pearson always did with his visitors. Alcott's hand slipped inside his jacket and came out with a revolver. I ignored it. In fact, I laughed right out loud. Wait a second, till I disconnect this thing and get it off. I removed the belt from around my waist, tossed it on my desk. That's better. I looked up at Alcott. And don't you think you better put that gun away? After all, the other spool isn't here. I've got that one in a vault. Alcott hesitated, lowered the gun. You're sure that thing is disconnected? I nodded, showed him that the wire wasn't turning anymore. You can talk freely now, but you'd better talk money. Alcott smiled with approval. I like a smart man. And you're what? If Pearson had been smart, he'd still be alive. He slipped the gun back into its holster. I won't make any offer for the wire, but you can work with me. I frowned. I need money fast. This stuff was expensive. You'll make 10 grand on the first job. The Mocamba Queen is docking tomorrow. 2 sailors are carrying 20 uncut diamonds in false linings of their shoes. They'll have shore leave about 10:30. We'll be waiting for them. I got up, sauntered around the desk. We sure will. 2 cops walked in, strode over to Alcott, yanked him to his feet, snapped handcuffs over his wrists.
So he fell for the old dictograph trick. A smart hijacker like that.
I glanced at the junk on my desk. Just goes to prove that an old trick can always be given a new twist and brought up to date. Okay, take him away. The 2 sailors from the Mocamba Queen were met as they came ashore, not by hijackers, but a police squad that arrested them and confiscated their smuggled gems. At that, the men were lucky. They might have met Alcott and fared much worse. That's what Alcott was, a crook who preyed on other crooks, a hijacker of smuggled stones. Pearson had been investigating the murder of a seaman for a steamship line that was his client, and he ran across Alcott's trail. Alcott tried to buy him off, and when that failed, used simpler means to shut Pearson's mouth. Like I said, in this detective business, it isn't what you know that counts, but what the other fellow thinks you know. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives, mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, private detective.
Hook, wait. Come back here. Wait, nothing. I said you were nuts, crazy. And... No, don't. I'm sorry, Hook. Very sorry. But I had to have it. I'm going to have it. And once you're dead, you'll never miss it.
Midnight. The witching hour when the night is darkest. Our fears the strongest. And our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute. In The Dead Hand. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of terror and retribution by one of radio's best-known mystery writers, Robert Newman. Its title, The Dead Hand. The small studio cottage on Dr. Martin Trent's estate. Seated at the piano, alone in the gathering darkness, is Roger Blaine, the famous pianist, and playing as only he can play.
Can't you hear me, Lorna? You must hear me. You must come here now to me. I'm calling you, Lorna. Calling to you in a way you could never resist. With my music, making your heart beat faster, your breath come quicker. Lorna!
Hello, Roger. Am I disturbing you?
Always, Lorna. Just as I disturb you. As we disturbed each other since the first time we met.
Martin's out at the hospital, and I heard you playing, so...
That's not why you came, Lorna. You came because I called you. Because you promised you'd come and give me your answer.
What we talked about last night, my going away with you? Roger, I must have been mad. I don't know what got into me.
Don't you, Lorna? This is what got into me. My music. Telling you things I never could tell you in words.
Roger, stop. I can't think when you play like that. I can't believe him. He's my husband. I love him, respect him.
Can you love a surgical instrument? Can you compare what you feel towards him with what you feel now, this minute?
No, it is different. Roger, how can we? He's your friend. It was he that brought you here, gave you the cottage.
And haven't I given him anything? Music like this. Music such as no one has ever heard before.
Roger,
Lorna, listen to me. It's what I'm saying here. I love you. I need you. It was you who helped me find depths within myself I never knew existed. You've got to come away with me. You owe it to me. To yourself, to the world.
Roger,
you
please.
You know you want to. And you're going to.
Roger, no, I can't. I tell you,
You are.
All right.
Lorna.
We can talk to Martin when he gets home tonight. Tell him. I think he
No,
wants
Lorna, there'll be no talking, no explaining. My car's outside and we're leaving right now. The music, my music, was still with me as we drove out through the gates, down the highway, pulsing, throbbing. Yes, I could hear it, but could Lorna? I glanced at her sitting there beside me. Happy, dearest?
What? I don't know, Roger.
You don't know? Don't you realize what this means, Lorna? I'm playing better than I ever played before, and this is only the beginning. After my New York concert, South America, then Europe.
Roger, are you sure you love me? Me as a person?
Well, what do you mean, Lorna?
I know you've said you do, but whenever you've talked about it, Roger, about us, you've talked in terms of your music. Roger, are you sure that's not what you love?
Well, of course I'm sure. If I didn't have my music, if I couldn't play, I don't think I could live. But
I know.
It was you. You who lifted me to heights I never dreamed of, technically, emotionally.
Roger, stop the car, turn around, take me back.
What?
Take me back.
I don't understand.
I do, for the first time. With Martin away so much, I was lonely, flattered by your attention. And your music was like a drug, keeping me from thinking. But now I can think. And I know you don't love me, and I don't love you, so please, Roger, take me back.
No.
But, Roger, can't you see this whole thing was a mistake?
It was not a mistake. I won't take you back.
Well, I'm going back, whether you take me or not, and if you won't stop the car...
No, let go of that brake! Let go! That's it! We're done! We're done! When I opened my eyes, I was in a bare white room in a hospital. Standing next to the bed were Lorna and Martin.
Hello, Roger. How are you feeling?
Well, I don't know. What happened?
You were out driving with Lorna. The car got out of control and you had a smash-up. They rushed you here to the hospital and, well, you've been here for 2 days.
Smash-up? Yes, I remember. Are you all right, Lorna?
Yes, Roger, I was shaken up.
Oh, my hand hurts. Especially the fingers. Nothing happened to it, did it, Martin? I've got a concert in a few weeks, you know.
Roger, don't stop it.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Don't worry about it, Roger. Not now.
Well, I've got to know. I've got to...
Roger, please.
Gone. My hand. My left hand. Martin, what did you do to me?
Roger, I think you know how I feel about you, about your music. You've got to believe me when I tell you there was nothing I could do about it. Nothing. It was your hand or your life.
My life? And what is my life without my music? Nothing. Worse than nothing. A living death. Why didn't you let me die?
Don't say that, Roger. We'll do anything we can. There must be something.
Something? There's just one thing. You've got to get me another hand.
We will, Roger. There have been some wonderful developments in prosthetics as a result
No,
of the war.
I don't mean an artificial hand. I mean a real hand.
What? Roger, you're mad.
No, I'm not. You took my hand and you'll get me another one.
We'll talk about it some other time.
You think I'll forget about it, don't you? Don't you? Oh, I won't. I say I'm going to have another hand, and I will have one. And what's more, you're going to help me get it if you're here. You're going to help me. I was able to get up and around a few days later. I didn't talk to anyone if I could help it. Because somehow I couldn't ever look at their faces, only their hands. Big hands and little ones, long-fingered ones and stubby ones. Yes, they each had 2 hands. And I to whom my piano meant more than life, had only 1. Then, sitting alone one evening, I met Hawk. I looked up, and there he was, a small, slight, sharp-featured man.
Hello. Nice evening.
Yes, I suppose it is.
You mind if I sit down for a couple of minutes?
No.
I wouldn't usually bust in on anybody except that... Well, I'm getting out of here tomorrow, and I feel pretty good about it.
Oh? What was wrong with you?
Bad heart. I'm going to have to take it easy from now on. It's going to make it kind of tough in some ways, but... you don't happen to have a cigarette on you, do you?
Well, yes, I do have. It's, there. Well, at least I did have. Silver cigarette case. Can't see.
Is,
Fine.
this it?
What? Well, yeah. Where did you find it?
In your pocket.
You mean you took it?
My name's Harris, Joe Harris. You usually call me the Hook. This is my racket. Or rather, it was until I...
You're a pickpocket.
Well, wanted the best of business. But now with my picket going bad, I guess I'll have to lay off, except like now for a gag. You didn't mind, did you?
Well, certainly not. I'm very impressed. As a matter of fact, do you mind if I look at your hands?
Look at it? What for?
Beautiful. As beautiful a pair of hands as I've ever seen. It occurs to me that you say that you don't know what you're going to do when you leave the hospital here.
Well, I just hadn't thought about it much. Why?
I've got a proposition that might possibly interest you.
No kidding. What?
Well, I'd rather not discuss it with you here and now, but I expect to be leaving here myself on Friday. If you'd like to come and see me sometime after...
You say where and when?
Well, I've been staying at a little cottage on Dr. Martin Trent's estate. I'll probably be going back there. How about Saturday night, late, around 11:30?
Fine. Okay with me.
Then it's a date. I left him there, hurried back to my room. I wanted to be alone. be alone, for I was afraid that what was on my mind might show in my face. It certainly was a date. A date with death.
A man obsessed, half mad, and his unsuspecting victim. Will both of them still be alive to hear it when the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight? And now, here is Roger Blaine to continue Murder at Midnight.
I did leave the hospital on Friday, went back to the little studio cottage. By Saturday night, my arrangements were completed. They weren't very complicated. I made it clear to Lorna and Martin that I wanted to be alone, and I picked up a length of iron pipe. The pipe I hid inside the piano when I heard footsteps coming down the path. There was a knock on the door. Come in?
Hi. Not too late, am I?
No, you're not too late.
Hey, pretty nice place you got here.
Yes, it is quite nice. Sit down.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Now, what's this here proposition you want to talk to me about?
It's a very simple one. How would you like to make $10,000?
What do I have to do?
You don't have to do anything. Just sell me something. Your left hand.
What? You're nuts.
No, I'm serious. I've got the money right here in cash.
I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Look, I'm a musician. I'm a pianist. Or I was until I lost my hand. If I can't go on playing, then life doesn't mean anything to me. My own life or anyone else's. But you, how important is your hand to you? Now, an artificial one will do almost as well. And you can live for quite a while on $10,000.
You mean you really thought I'd sell you my hand? Let you cut it off? I'm getting out of here.
Look, wait.
Wait, nothing. I said you was nuts, but I didn't really think... What are you going to do with that? No, don't you can't. Some way. Somehow I'll get you for this. I swear.
I'm sorry, Hook. Very sorry. But I have to have it. I'd rather not go into what happened after that. I got rid of the body. Then I went to see Martin.
You don't look well, Roger. Anything the matter?
No, I just came to see you about your promise.
My promise?
Oh, your debt, whichever you choose to call it. I told you I wanted another hand, that I was going to get another hand, and that you were going to help me. Well, now you can help me.
What do you mean?
Look in here. Inspect. See?
Good Lord. Where did you get this?
It might be better if you didn't ask too many questions. I'm fighting for my life, for more than my life. You took my hand away from me. Well, now you can give me this one.
You mean you honestly, seriously think that I can perform an operation of this sort, do a graft, and that after I'm finished, you'll be able to use the hand?
Why not? Operations of this sort have been done, haven't they? With other parts of the body? The eye?
The cornea, not the eye. And some nerve grafting has been done. But this... Look, Roger, I know what a shock this whole thing has been to you. Know it better than you. You're not a well man.
A well man? I'm only half alive, and I'd rather be dead than go on living this way. But if I do die, I won't die alone. That's why I brought this along.
Roger!
Got it. Quick, easy, painless. If you won't do what I want, you die. And so does Lorna. Both of you, along with me.
You don't give me very much choice.
No.
All All right. You win. Get me to the hospital.
Even before I became fully conscious, before I opened my eyes, I knew that it had been done. That it wasn't his hand anymore, but mine. Still, there was something wrong. I couldn't analyze what it was at first, but it was there. A feeling that something wasn't quite right. That perhaps it wasn't entirely my hand. I sat up. The hand was a mass of bandages, stiffened with splints. And inside the bandages...
Careful, Roger. Don't touch them.
Huh? Oh, Martin, I didn't see you.
I've been here with you ever since last night.
Last night? You mean I've been out that long? 24 hours?
It was very important that you keep quiet. You've been under sedation.
Oh, yes, of course. This isn't the hospital.
No. I brought you home with me, back to the house.
Oh.
I thought it would be best for several reasons.
Oh, that's very smart, Martin. We don't want any questions, do we? Not yet. You did do it, didn't you?
What? Yes.
I knew you would. You could. And it's going to work. It is working. I can feel it.
Please, Roger. You must be careful with that bandage. You can't touch it, move it, disturb it in any way.
I won't, Martin. But I don't have to. I tell you, I can feel the fingers moving, even inside this. And in another week or so...
We'll see.
Yes. We'll see. Got a cigarette, Martin?
Of course, I have it right. That's funny.
What is?
Well, a cigarette case. It was right here in my breast pocket. I must have left it downstairs at the hospital.
It doesn't matter. I can do it. Martin.
Yes?
I think... Here, this here. Here it is. Under my pillow.
What? How did it get there?
I don't know. It must have fallen out when you bent over. But... No.
Why are you looking like that?
Because... I think I know how it did get under my pillow.
What do you mean?
When fingers learn something, special skill, they don't forget it, ever. Mine never have. Even when I'm not thinking of what I'm doing, they go on playing by themselves. These fingers here, they haven't forgotten either. You understand?
I'm afraid I...
I'm awfully tired all of a sudden, Martin. Would you mind?
No, Roger. I'd like you to get as much rest as possible. There's a friend of mine coming here tomorrow to see you. The doctor.
That's fine, Martin. I'll see you in the morning. Yes, I was tired, but that wasn't why I asked Martin to go. It was because I wanted to be alone, because I had to be alone. Because I knew now what it was that I'd only sensed before. The hand, Hook's hand, had a will of its own. It had picked Martin's pocket without my even being aware of it. I lay there alone in the darkness after Martin went, not touching the bandages, but flexing the fingers, forcing them to obey my will. I had to do that. I knew I had to do it, because I suspected what might happen. And what did happen proved that I was right. I fell asleep finally. And while I was asleep, I dreamed. I dreamed I was walking down a dark, labyrinthine corridor somewhere under the earth. Then...
A little closer, Roger.
Huh?
Just a little closer.
Who's there? Who's there?
Just me. Waiting for you.
Hook!
Yeah, Hook. I said I'd get you. And I will.
Out of the darkness came a hand that clutched me by the throat, gripped it tighter. 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 I fought against it. Tried to scream. Woke up. Yes, I woke up. And my waking was more horrible than the dream, for the hand was there, gripping me by the throat, moaning, exerting every ounce of my strength and will. I fought it off and pulled it down. I lay there, bathed in a cold sweat, staring at it, feeling the fingers quivering inside the bandages. My hand or his, I was tied to it now. Tied to a thing that was seeking to destroy me. Shaking convulsively, I leaped out of bed. I ran out into the hall and down the stairs to the living room. The piano. That was the one thing that might save me, save my reason. Seating myself at the piano, I started to play, using only my right hand at first. But I tried to force my left hand. His hand to join in. Then suddenly...
No, Roger. That won't work. No music.
Stop it. Do you hear it? It's my hand now. It's mine.
No, Roger. Never.
But it is. I'm stronger than you are.
Nothing is stronger than I am. Nothing in the world. And there's no escape. Because we're one now, Roger. And wherever you go, I'll be there too.
It's not true. It's not. What are you doing?
Just a little closer to the desk, Roger. A little closer. That paper knife.
Damn.
But I can't, Roger. And Georgia gets you somehow. Some way.
Put it down.
Drop you. Can't fight against me, Roger. And Georgia, I'm too strong.
Martha! Martha! Quick! Let us see! The hand!
Where is he, Martin?
The living room. I heard the piano and... Good Lord. He's dead.
Why? How? He was saying something about a hand.
He was in a completely psychotic state as a result of shock and a sense of guilt. The state psychiatrist was coming tomorrow to commit him.
Oh, Martin.
That hand he brought me wanted me to graft on. I don't know where he got it, but I suspect that was behind the whole thing.
Behind it?
Yes.
Well, what do you mean?
You don't really think I did graft it on, do you?
Why?
He was desperate, and I had to do something to quiet him. I splinted his left wrist, wrapped it in bandages, and told him not to touch them.
But, Martin, that paper knife in his chest.
Which hand is holding it?
His right one, his good one.
Yes. And still, in a way, it's possible that the dead hand, the one he was so concerned about, did guide it.
Her eyes wide with awful comprehension, Lorna stares at her husband, then down at Roger Blaine's body as, somewhere in the silent house, a clock starts chiming for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death stretches out his bony hand and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight is directed by Anton M. Leader.
This, I believe. Gerald Warburg is one of this country's outstanding concert cellists. He is known here and abroad both as a soloist and as the founder and director of the Stradivarius Society. His own famous cello is a magnificent Stradivarius known as La Belle Blonde. This is Gerald Warburg's creed.
When I was 8 years old, an aunt took me to hear Fritz Kreisler play a violin recital. And from then on I knew I wanted only to be a concert artist. To this day, as I sit in the concert hall and the artist appears on the stage, I feel that no human being has a nobler or more exciting calling. To be on the concert stage and bring this subtlest of all arts, music, to an audience is indeed a revealing and challenging occupation. So I found out later. At one point, after playing for 6 years in a string quartet, music suddenly became to me more than an art. It became a sort of a miracle. For one thing, we were 4 different nationalities in the quartet: a South African, a Swiss, a Russian, and an American. And although we disagreed about many things, music was a common language which we all understood and could agree about, especially if we didn't talk too much about it. Music was a language in itself, and when we played before audiences in America or in Europe, they understood too. But what did they understand, and what made these sounds we called music so appealing? As far back as ancient times, mathematicians and philosophers thought there might be some relation between music, or the world of sound, and the universe about us. My own curiosity about what this relation might be led to my giving up string quartet playing and to my working in a sound laboratory. This all happened at a time of personal crisis, and after setting myself up in an empty apartment with 2 assistants and an electric tuning organ, I was not prepared to find any simple solution to life's problems in the realm of physical sound. As a matter of fact, all I did find out immediately was that in the measuring of the relationship of all the intervals used in the spectrum of sound we call overtones, there were no fractions and no decimal points anywhere. Everything was simple and harmonious in the world of sound, and in the harmony of our Western world, I must hastily add, of music. All dissonance, which is unrest, could be resolved to its nearest consonance, which is perfect equilibrium, and this according to nature's own laws. No wonder we can understand music. Bettina von Arnim, Beethoven's friend, quotes him as saying, "When I open my eyes, I must sigh, for I must despise the world which has no inkling of the fact that music is a higher revelation than all wisdom and philosophy." At any rate, the small investigation that anyone interested might make into the world of sound might lead them, as I am sure it has others besides myself, to believe that the laws of sound govern the universe. Music has ever seemed to me a prophecy of all that might be true of our world and of our universe. There can be dissonance and discord, but in the end, all must be resolved to the simple harmony of nature's laws and overtones. There is no sour note that cannot find its correct pitch, and we enjoy the steady rhythm of the beat of our own hearts, to which our music is but a commentary. A great conductor leads a symphony of stars, and we are players, all of us, in one great orchestra.
They're the beliefs of Gerald Warburg, an internationally known cellist of New York City.
What's the matter? What is it? Another case for Nick Carter. That's the detective.
Yes, it's another case for that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective. Presented by the 3 great Linex home brighteners: Linex Clear Gloss Varnish, Linex Cream Polish, and Linex Self-Polishing Wax. Created by Acme, America's great producer of fine Acme quality paints. Today's curious adventure:
Ready for murder. For Nick Carter and the mystery of the dead Scotty.
In just a moment, we'll hear how the dead Scotty dog helped Nick Carter solve the mystery of the Ames farm. and of how he saved from death the young heir to the estate who was ready for murder. You know, it doesn't take folks long to learn what's worthwhile. That's why millions of wise American homemakers have discovered Chemtone, the miracle wall finish. That's why they're now discovering this new magic for woodwork, floors, and furniture, the 3 great Linex home brighteners. Linex Clear Gloss Varnish to give lustrous, longer-lasting protection to every wood and linoleum surface. Linex Cream Polish to renew the sleek, gleaming beauty of fine furniture. And Linex Self-Polishing Wax to lend rich, satiny loveliness to any floor, wood, linoleum, or tile. Take the modern shortcut to new home beauty with the 3 great Linex home brighteners. You'll find them all at your hardware, paint, or department store. Your headquarters also for Chemtone, the miracle wall finish. And now for today's mysterious adventure with Nick Carter. As our story opens, we find Nick and Patsy just entering the hotel room of John Ames, a young friend of Nick's.
Oh, hello, Nick. Patsy.
Hello.
John. Glad to see you. Come on in.
Thanks. Good to see you again.
Oh, Nick, look at that darling Scotty on the bed.
Hey, Mac, get down off that bed.
I look so cute there with his head on the pillow.
I've never been able to break McTavish of the habit. Oh, by the way, this is Chief Danis of the local police. Nick Carter and Patsy Bowen, Chief.
How do you, Carter?
Well, let's get down to business. Chief Danis and I have just come from my Aunt Mary's funeral, as you know. The coroner's verdict was that Aunt Mary killed herself with aconite. But I don't believe it.
Why not, John?
Well, first, because she wasn't the suicide kind. Second, because if she wanted to kill herself, she would have used poison she was more familiar with. She was a gardener, knew all about nicotine sulfate and arsenic and so on.
Well, nothing very positive there.
Well, Mr. Carter, how about this? Since John's grandfather, old Henry Ames, passed on at the age of 83 4 years ago, 3 of the heirs have died. Typhoid killed Frank last year. Phil was shot in a hunting accident 2 years ago. And now Mary dies of aconite poison.
But the Purcells keep right on running the farm, the way they always have.
Who are the Purcells?
Adam and Paul Purcell were first employed as farm managers by my grandfather. Each successive owner since then has kept them on.
So far, everything seems quite open and above board.
Yes, but each time one of the last 3 Ameses has died, the word murder has been whispered all over town.
But why? I don't get it.
Well, just a feeling. No proof at all, but the rumor persists that the Purcells know more about than they can let on.
And as a medical student, I can say that the chances of 3 healthy people dying off like that, one after another, purely as a coincidence, is less than 1 in 100.
Is there any question about your grandfather's death being natural?
Well, no, none at all.
And how about Phil?
He shot himself in the chest while out hunting with the Purcells.
And it was his gun, with only his fingerprints on it.
I see. And how about Frank's death?
He died in bed of typhoid.
Nothing to show it wasn't on the level?
Not a thing, Mr. Carter.
Well, now tell me about your Aunt Mary's death. Anything wrong there?
Well, nothing you can put your finger on. Oh, here's a fact. And I want to say that they've been checked and proven in every detail.
That's right, Mr. Carter. What John will tell you is nothing but facts.
All right, let's have them.
Aunt Mary lived alone in the big house. The Purcells and Lizzie Gregg, their hired girl, lived in the tenant house. Lizzie took care of the big house and got the meals for Aunt Mary, but she didn't sleep there. Well, this particular morning, Lizzie walked over to the big house at 7 in the morning, called my aunt, got no answer, and investigated. My aunt was in bed, dead.
And it snowed that night before all night. And the tracks we found when we got there proved, mind you, that no one was in the house that night with his aunt.
And the post-mortem shows she died of aconite poisoning, huh?
Yes, a minute dose, but fatal and positive. Just enough to kill her.
Well, where'd you get this aconite?
Well, Lizzie used it for a heart condition for years. Kept the bottle in the big house in the kitchen cabinet.
Oh, I see.
The bottle was found on his aunt's bedside table, with her fingerprints plainly showing on top of Lizzie's.
But it couldn't be an accident, because aconite is neither odorless nor tasteless, and couldn't be taken without knowing it. And the poison was administered to my aunt through her mouth.
Oh, it certainly looks like suicide to me.
Except for one thing, Patsy.
What's that?
A person going to commit suicide would pour themselves out a good sizable portion of the poison they intended to use. Not just barely enough to kill them. She wouldn't know enough to do that.
If she didn't leave any suicide note, either.
But if it wasn't suicide, and if she couldn't have taken it by accident, and if nobody could have forced it on her without her knowing it was being done, where does that leave you?
Exactly, Patsy. It proves just one thing in my mind. It proves a cold-blooded, deliberate murder, carefully planned and executed. I don't know how it was done, but it was. The same goes for Phil's death and Frank's. And I'll bet the Purcells are the murderers or the accomplices. They stand to gain a nice income from the farm, which goes to them if the last heir dies. They've been planning this for years. They planned it so carefully that the evidence proves them not guilty every time.
Madam Purcell, where did you come from? I knocked, but there was so much talk and nobody heard me. So I come in. John, I heard what you said.
Well, I meant it, every word.
How do you happen to be here, Purcell?
I heard John was coming down here to meet Chief Dennis and you, Mr. Carter. I guessed why, so I followed him.
To spy on me?
No, young man, not to spy, to resign. Paul and Lizzie are against the idea. I'm the elder brother, and what I say goes.
You mean you'll all move off the farm?
Just that, and right now.
Mr. Purcell, I meant every word I said just now, and I'm not taking back a word of it. But you can't resign, and I can't let you go.
No. Why not?
Because if they go now, it means either they're quitting under fire, or I'm afraid to live on the farm with them. Besides, I need farm managers, and the Purcells are the best managers I know.
I think you're right, John. Well, how do you feel about it, Mr. Purcell?
I don't know. But I guess I can stand it if he can. All right. We'll put the food on your table, clean your house, run your farm. But that's all. We won't have nothing to do with you, nor you with us.
I understand, and I agree.
I'll be getting along.
Hey, quiet, Mac, and get down off my bed. Come on, get down.
You're going back to the farm tonight, Mr. Ames?
Yes, especially in view of what just happened.
You still think Purcell's guilty?
Yes, I do. Adam wanted to resign either because he was afraid or because he wanted to establish an alibi. Because if I should be killed while the Purcells weren't living on the farm, they'd be cleared of all the debts. No. I'm going back there and prove that the Purcells actually did what I think they did. Well, Mac, this seems to be the kitchen. Oh, there's nobody here. Yes, there is, in that rocking chair. How do you do?
You let your dog in the house?
Why, yes. Mac's always lived with me in my room.
Ain't fitting. Where you sleep?
Why, in the master bedroom, of course.
Good. Best room in the house. What time you want breakfast?
About 8 o'clock. I'd like eggs, bacon, and coffee.
You set the time, young man. I'll furnish the meals. Good night.
Well, yes, Mac, that was probably Lizzie. Well, if that's the way they want it, okay. Come on, let's have a look at our house. So this is the master bedroom. Gosh, Mac, so furniture's beautiful. Hey, get down off that bed, Mac. You've got to turn over a new leaf in this house. Lizzie won't have you sleeping on beds, I know. Oh, all right. Stay there for now. Gosh, I wonder why the whole house smells so strongly of alcohol. Smells like a box. The phone's here in the bedroom. Swell. Hello?
Hello, John. I just thought I'd call and see how you're making out.
Oh, gosh, Nick, it's good to hear your voice. This is a grand old house, but it's so quiet you can cut it with a knife.
Any new ideas yet?
Yes, one or two. Nick, I'd like to have you get me a permit to exhume Frank Ames' body and autopsy the remains. If arsenical poisoning was wrongly diagnosed as typhoid, it can still be checked.
All right, John. I'll bring the permit out with me when I come tomorrow. Oh, by the way, if the Purcells were to inherit the farm, where would Lizzie come in?
She wouldn't. She has no interest in it at all. She wouldn't get to touch a dollar of it. Why?
Oh, just wondered.
I understand Lizzie and Paul were talking of getting married about 5 years ago, but nothing came of it.
I see. Well, all right, John. I'll see you about 11 in the morning. Good night.
Good night, Nick. Well, come on, Mac. I'll have to get off the bed now because I'm getting in it myself. Lizzie, that was the best breakfast I ever ate. And I mean it.
Yes, maybe you do. I know when I'm being made fun of.
Lizzie, I wonder if you could manage to get rid of that barrel of alcohol I saw in the cellar this morning. I can smell it all over the house.
Yes, better speak to Paul, young man. I've been trying to get rid of that barrel all winter. It leaks.
Yes, it certainly does.
You'll have to get Paul to get rid of it. And he's real stubborn.
Hey, where is Paul now?
Plowing, of course. Where else this time of year?
Well, thanks, Lizzie. See if I can find him. let's see where Phil was killed.
Oh, right over there it was. We was after grouse. I climbed through the wire here, and he went over the fence there. Shoved his gun through ahead of him. Stock hit that rock, and bang, got him in the chest.
I see. Thanks.
You mind if I get back to my plow? We're behind now.
No, not at all. You and Adam certainly keep this place in beautiful shape.
We aimed to. All run down when Adam and me was hired, but now everything's up to snuff. And no Ames ever put his hand to it yet.
Oh, I think I'll roam around and see what there is to see. Haven't been here since I was a kid. Come on, Mac. Hey, Mac, look at the time. 11 o'clock. Must be Nick blowing for us. Come on. We'll go back through the cattle lane. Ought to be the quickest way to the house. Oh, gosh, this cattle lane's a beautiful job. Almost 200 yards, straight from the barn out to the fields where the cows are put out to pasture. Fenced on both sides with 5 strands of barbed wire. Oh, each one of them as tight as a banjo string. That, Mac, is a model fence if I ever saw one. Yes, Mac, I see him. It's Nick, all right. Oh, he's got Patsy with him. Watch out! Watch out down here under the fence, guy, quick. I'll have to go over the top if I can jump that high.
The series of accidents is continuing. John's first day on the farm, and already death runs to meet him. Can this murderous setup be solved in time to save John from being killed? We'll see in just a moment. When your youngsters track in mud, slush, or snow just after you've cleaned the floor, you know it's exasperating. But when your floors are protected by Linex clear gloss varnish, presto, those wintertime puddles are whisked away in a hurry. That's because Linex clear gloss keeps dirt and water right on the surface. Linex clear gloss gives a beautiful finish, too. Its gleaming, transparent luster gives that lovely, sparkling, clean look every homemaker delights in. And how Linex clear gloss wears. It even resists damage by hot grease, boiling water, fruit acids, perfume, and alcohol, which makes it especially fine for tabletops as well as for linoleum and wood floors. Best of all, Linex clear gloss is brushed on so easily, so smoothly, that it's practically no work at all. And once it's applied, your home has that handsome, well-kept appearance for a long, long time. Ask for it at your dealers now. Linex, Lin-X, Linex Clear Gloss Varnish. You'll find all 3 great Linex home brighteners and Chemtone, the miracle wall finish, at hardware, paint, and department stores everywhere. And now back to our story. As we left John, he was in a narrow lane, hemmed in on both sides with high barbed wire, trying to escape the mad rush of a bull charging down on him from the farm. It is now a few minutes later.
The bull get you, John?
No, I'm all right.
I never saw such a pretty viva balding as you did over the top of that fence.
I can't understand it. The bull couldn't break out of his pen. Somebody must have left the gate to the pen unlatched.
Well, it doesn't matter now. No damage was done.
I told you that bull would get away someday. Told you to padlock the pen. But no, you men knew it all.
What are you doing here, Lizzie? Get back to the house where you belong.
Come down here to tell the young man he's got company. I see he's found out for himself.
Yes, I found him. Well, John, shall we go somewhere and talk?
We won't be disturbed there. Nobody will bother us here, Nick.
Good. Well, first, John, I got the permit to exhume your uncle's body. I brought the undertaker along to dig it up and take it back to town.
Good.
Second, I got hold of your Uncle Phil's shotgun, the one that killed him. I examined it pretty closely.
Find anything interesting?
I did. I found evidence that seems to bear out your feeling that his death may not have been the accident they claim it was.
Well, this house reeks of alcohol, doesn't it?
Yes, there's a barrel of the stuff in the cellar. For some reason, it smells up the whole place. Come in.
Young man, you leave this farm tonight. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself killed.
Killed? By whom?
Maybe I don't know, and maybe I do. I seen the hand and the arm that pushed the bolt on the bullpen gate open. That bull was loose deliberate.
If you know who did it, you ought to speak up to prevent further tragedy.
I only recognized the sleeve of the shirt. It was Toromite. But they could have got their shirts mixed up, so I ain't saying. Now you heed what I tell you, young man. Get out. And get quick.
Huh. Wish she could have been more positive in her identification.
I wonder how positive she really is.
Maybe she doesn't know herself.
Maybe. But I'm beginning to get an idea.
You mean you can see an end to this riddle?
No, but I think I begin to see where we're headed. And it's not pretty. Well, I've got work to do right now. I'll see you tonight, John. And in the meantime, be careful.
Hello? Nick Carter speaking.
Hello, Nick. I know I'm going to see you tonight, but since you've been gone, something's happened I think you ought to know.
What's that, John?
Both Adam and Paul have come to me secretly at different times, and each one has told me that he saw his brother unlatch the gate to the bull's pen.
You mean they each accused the other?
Yes, Nick.
Well, very interesting. Oh, by the way, John, an autopsy on your Uncle Frank's body shows arsenical poison in fatal quantities. No question but what it was murder.
But who did it, Nick? Who did it?
Suppose you get all three of the first cells in the big house at 10 in the morning. I'll need until then to clean up the details. Tell them I found out something conclusive. But don't tell them what. May make one of them come through with a confession, maybe.
All right, Nick. 10 in the morning.
Right, John. And watch yourself tonight.
Operator. Emergency. I'm poisoned. Get me a doctor, quick. And then get Nick Carter at the hotel. You got that? Get a doctor. Then call Nick Carter. Seems as if you and Nick got here awful fast, Nancy.
Well, Nick's in a hurry. He doesn't waste any time getting places.
You know what you were poisoned with, John?
Yes, it was aconite, all right. I know that. I can't figure out how I got it.
Your pulse is very low. We've got to make it pick up.
Do you know how?
Of course she does. Patsy's practically a full-fledged nurse.
Well, it's lucky. There's nobody here on the farm I can trust.
Here, drink this, John. It'll stimulate your heart. And you better walk up and down.
I just heard on the extension phone that John was poisoned. Is that true?
It's true, all right.
You only know what you heard on the phone?
Why, sure. What else? How is he?
Well, we don't know yet.
Oh, I'd rather taken the poison in my own stomach than he should get it. I never dreamed of any killing or knowed any was being done.
Nick, will you get me?
Adam, come quick.
Hey,
Paul.
what?
He's poisoned, too. He's hardly breathing. Adam.
Paul, too? Paul poisoned?
Adam, Paul's dying.
If you could let me have some of that stuff you're using for John, ma'am, I'll go tend to Paul.
Why, of course. Here you are.
Adam.
Come in, Lizzie. Come in.
Paul must have poisoned you and himself, John. That's the only answer. And that means Paul did all those other things, too.
But I took nothing since dinner. That was much too long ago to have waited all this time to take effect. It's impossible. I've eaten nothing and drunk nothing since 7 o'clock. It's 2:40 in the morning now.
Then what in the world could it...
If that's the doctor, Patsy, rush him to Paul.
Okay.
Paul must talk before he dies. He's got to clear this thing up.
John, did you say you'd had nothing to eat or drink for the last 7 or 8 hours?
That's right, Nick. The same as Aunt Mary's case, exactly. She was poisoned without knowing how it was done. So was I. The answer to one is the answer to both. And Paul's killing himself looks as if he were that answer. Although I can't figure out how he could have done it.
John, I'd like to have a look at your room. Feeling strong enough?
Yeah, sure, Nick. Let's do it now. Nick, do you think that... Hey, Mac, get off that bed. Hey, Mac, come on. Mac! That's funny. Usually... Nick! He's dead.
Don't touch him.
Why not?
Look, John. His head's on a pillow in the same place yours would be if you were in bed.
Yes, Nick, but so what?
You slept on that pillow and almost died. Mac sleeps there and does die. Doesn't that mean anything to you?
No, I'm afraid not. What should it mean?
Aconite was poured on the pillowcase before you went to bed.
What?
Remember, aconite is so powerful it can be absorbed through the skin. particularly the thin, damp mucous membrane of the lips.
Well, that's right, Nick. A person sleeping on that pillow with aconite spilled on it would poison himself in a couple of hours.
Because you were restless, you got up before the dose was fatal. But Mac, with his very bad habit of sleeping on your pillow and sleeping very soundly, slept there once too often.
But, Nick, why didn't I smell it?
What does aconite smell like?
Well, alcohol.
Right.
Oh, of course, the house reeks of alcohol. Naturally, I'd never smell it.
That alcohol smell is part of the plot, John.
Who, Nick? Who?
Let's get everybody together and talk it over. Maybe that way we'll get along faster. So up to now, we've got this much settled. I found that the safety catch on the shotgun that killed Phil 2 years ago had been tampered with, so it is no good. Lizzie swears she saw Paul fooling around the gun just before the accident. An autopsy proved that Frank was killed by a mixture of arsenic and boron, which Lizzie and Adam both say Paul was trying out as a new spray for bean beetles. The bull was let out of his pen on purpose, unquestionably to kill John Ames. Lizzie says she recognized the torn sleeve of Paul's shirt on the arm she saw slip the latch. Adam agrees with her. Unfortunately, Paul died without saying anything, so we don't know his side of the story. But we do know he told John that Adam did it.
I don't need to hear no more, Mr. Carter. I'm packing up and getting out of here now, tonight.
I'll help you pack, Adam. I know where your things are. I ain't leaving you.
You ain't a Purcell, Lizzie. It ain't fair to ask you to share my troubles.
But I want to, Adam. I've always looked after you. You think I'm going to stop now?
Lizzie, you're real kind, but I can't allow it. I can take care of myself.
Adam, if I were you, I wouldn't refuse Lizzie like that.
Huh?
She's in love with you.
She ain't neither. Lizzie's an old maid.
That's where you're wrong. And that's where everybody went wrong. Lizzie is in love with you. That's how all this came to happen.
Oh, Nick, you aren't making any sense now.
Yes, I am, Patsy. Lizzie hated Paul for not marrying her that time they were engaged. Now she's grown to love Adam, and she wanted him to have the farm because she thought that was what he wanted more than anything else in the world. So she tried to kill off the heirs, one after another, and throw the blame on Paul.
But the safety catch on Phil's gun, the poison that killed Frank.
Oh, John, any farm woman knows enough to do those things, and she killed your Aunt Mary the same way she tried to kill you. No trace of aconite was found on your aunt's pillow because Lizzie changed the pillowcase before calling for help. She'd have changed yours, too, if things had gone right, but she didn't have time. And every once in a while, she spilled a little alcohol out of the barrel in the cellar to keep the house smelling of it.
But that's not proof, Nick.
No, it isn't. But I'm willing to bet that if you look, you'll find she just changed Paul's pillowcase. And I don't doubt you'll find that pillowcase still smelling of aconite somewhere in the house where the Purcells live. And that will be proof.
You don't need to look. Of course I done it. All of it. Just like you say. It was easy. You're all so dumb. Just like all men. Never thought a woman could do anything for you but cook and sew.
Letting the bull out of his pen. You couldn't have done that.
Oh, couldn't I? Look at my hands. They look just like a man's. I put one of Paul's shirts under my skirt when I went out to the barn and slipped it over my arm when I opened the boat. Nobody knowed it was me. Even them who saw me do it didn't know.
How did you know, Nick?
It had to be that way. There was no other answer that would fit all the facts as I gathered them in. The exact method used and the motive behind it were the things I had to find out before I could act. Lizzie almost beat me to it this last time. I didn't think she was ready to act so quickly.
Gosh, Nick. I hate to think of having to turn her over to the police. Since I've been here, I've grown fond of Lizzie.
You won't have to feel sorry for me, young man. I do things instead of talking about them. When you was John, I took the rest of the aconite in the bottle. Now just leave me be. I'll die without no help from any of you.
In just a moment, Nick and Patsy will bring you a preview of next week's exciting case. But first, a word to the ladies. Homemaking is an art that brings genuine happiness to everyone who lives in a well-kept home, everyone who visits it. It's a real achievement to keep your home attractive. So it's worthwhile to know how much help the three great Linex home brighteners can give you. Linex Cream Polish, for instance, restores the original shining beauty of your fine furniture, disposes of blurry fingerprints almost by magic, gets rid of that cloudy film left by dust and old polish. Linex Cream Polish helps hide ugly scratches, too. Yet it takes only one quick application. Because Linex Cream Polish actually cleans your furniture as it polishes, leaving it spick and span, bringing out the true beauty of the wood. What's more, Linex Cream Polish dries to a hard surface without oiliness to attract more dust. Ask your dealer for the modern furniture polish which cleans as it polishes, saving one whole step in your cleaning routine. Ask him for Linex Cream Polish for fine furniture. You will find all three great Linex home brighteners, Linex self-polishing wax, Linex clear gloss varnish, and Linex cream polish at your nearest hardware, paint, or department store. And now let's hear from Nick Carter himself. Well, Nick, what new and exciting adventure do you plan to tell us about next week?
A scientist and inventor whose home was on the coast was found in his laboratory one morning with a bullet hole through his forehead.
Much to my regret, because we were supposed to be vacationing up there, not capturing murderers.
Well, I suppose murderers have to be captured no matter what happens.
Yes, Ken. And this time I was intrigued by the killing, because the only clue that had any value was a piece of rope. A kind of rope that none of us had ever seen before.
And there was a thunder shower at midnight, too, which helped to put the finger on the killer.
Sounds interesting. Yes, I'll listen. What's the title of your story?
I call it Crime at Cold Harbor.
Or the Mystery of the Murdered Scientist.
And that's all for now. Details next week. So long.
So long, everybody.
And so long to both of you. We'll be expecting to hear from you again next week as usual. Next week at this same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter, Master Detective, entitled
Crime at Cold Harbor. Or Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Murdered Scientist.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is featured in Street and Smith magazine. Lon Clark is starred as Nick with Helen Choate as Patsy. Original music is played by Lou White, and the programs are written and directed by Jock McGregor. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented at this time and over these same stations each week by the three great Linex home brighteners. Linex Clear Gloss Varnish, Linex Cream Polish, and Linex Self-Polishing Wax, created by Acme, America's great producer of Acme fine quality paints. This is Ken Powell speaking for the thousands of Linex dealers all over America and saying so long until next week. This is Mutual.
This, I believe. Dr. Gertie T. Corey is the 1947 winner of the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology. Since 1931, she has been associated with the Washington University Medical School in St. Louis, where she is now professor of biochemistry. Here is Dr. Corey.
I have been very fortunate in having been allowed to work freely in the field of science, biochemistry, in which I have been intensely interested ever since I got a first glimpse of it as a medical student in 1914. I came to this country in 1922 and owe it the greatest debt of gratitude for having treated me and my husband with fine generosity, giving us wonderful opportunities for research work, security, and a happy life. I believe the benefits of two civilizations, a European education followed by the freedom and opportunities of this country, have been essential to whatever contributions I have been able to make to science. I believe that in art and science are the glories of the human mind. I see no conflict between them. In the past they have flourished together during the great and happy periods of history, and those men seem to me short-sighted who think that by suppressing science they will release other creative qualities. It may be, however, that the present period is more favorable to the development of science than of art. Contemplation of the great human achievements through the ages is helpful to me in moments of despair and doubt. Human meanness and folly then seem less important. Humanity has but a short history of civilized life, and the hope for greater wisdom must resign itself to a fairly distant future. Gone are the somewhat utopian hopes of my youth, the belief in rapid, continuous progress. Hope remains, but the time scale has widened. Cruelty and malice have decreased as the well-being of the people in the Western community has increased. An immense advance in this direction has taken place in the last 100 years, even if I consider the setbacks caused by the two terrible wars of this century. Modern medicine, aided by chemistry, has decreased human suffering. The greatest achievements in art and science, I believe, have been made by men who had faith or compassion for their fellow men, and I like to think in this connection of the moving outcry in Beethoven's opera Fidelio. There is a justice, es gibt eine Gerechtigkeit. I believe that cynicism and despair and the straitjacket into which totalitarian systems try to force the human mind are inimical to first-rate achievements in art and science. I believe that the excessive will to power of some men has been and is still the cause of great suffering of humanity. Science has given these ruthless men tools of great effectiveness and has vastly increased the domination they can exercise over their fellow men. This has created in some men's mind the misconception that science itself is evil. My beliefs have undergone little change during my life, though I like to think they have developed into a somewhat higher plane. Honesty, which stands mostly for intellectual integrity, courage and kindness are still the virtues I admire, though with advancing years the emphasis has been slightly shifted and kindness now seems more important to me than in my youth. The love for and dedication to my work seems to me to be the basis for happiness. As a research worker, the unforgotten moments of my life are those rare ones which come after years of plodding work, when the veil over nature's secret seems suddenly to lift, and when what was dark and chaotic appears in a clear and beautiful light and pattern.
That was Dr. Gertie Corey, a native of Austria, who has devoted her life to scientific research.
Night beats.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. This one began with a crash on the highway and ended with a whole city fighting for its life.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Joe's Diner is located about 10 miles out of town on the highway going north to St. Paul. Joe caters to the truck drivers who wrestle those big 20-ton diesel jobs. You know, the ones that scare the pants off you when you have to head over to the side of the road so that they can pass. It's strictly a man's spot. The steaks are juicy, and the conversation even juicier. I stop in there once in a while myself to take on a little of Joe's home cooking and improve my vocabulary, like tonight.
All right.
Oh, how many hands you think I got? Like an octopus?
I grabbed a stool at the counter and waited for Joe to catch up with me. Joe, scrambled eggs when you get to it.
I'll be with you in a minute, Mr. Stone.
Fried and buttered, Joe. Lots of butter.
How else?
Good. I'm starved.
9 o'clock. You ain't had your supper yet?
No, that's breakfast. I'm just starting out.
Oh, you're as bad as one of these truck drivers. Here, this'll hold you.
Joe banged a cup of coffee on the counter in front of me, and then it happened. There was a desperate shriek of brakes and a crash out on the highway. In 5 seconds, a dozen men were on their feet racing for the door. Holy mackerel, call the cops, Joe. Tell them to send an ambulance. was almost a quarter of a mile away, but long before I got there, I could make out the shape of a big semi-trailer truck and jammed into its rear end a brand-new sedan. We still had about 100 yards to go when the truck roared up and started pulling itself loose from the wrecked car. Get his license number, somebody! But the guy on the truck hadn't put his lights on, and he pulled away before anyone could get close enough. The sedan was there over on one side, and it was a mess. The boys got the car right side up and dragged the driver out. He was soused to the gills. In a little while, the cops were there working him over. And then I saw this other guy over by the ditch across the road. Hey, you all right?
Run out on me. Run out.
Who ran out on you? Are you hurt?
Look, mister, I gotta get away from here.
Oh, I see you were in the truck.
Yeah, I was in the truck. Look, I gotta see a doctor, this hand of mine.
Cops will take care of it for you until the ambulance gets here.
I don't need no ambulance.
Here's another one over here, Sergeant.
Okay. I tell you, I can make it okay.
Well, hello, Stone. How did you get here? Fly?
All right, Sergeant.
This fellow in the wreck?
He was in the truck.
Yeah? What's your name?
Harry Waldo.
Driver's helper?
No, I just bummed a ride. The guy gave me a ride about 100 miles back.
Where do you live?
Here, Chicago.
You get the license number of the truck?
No, I didn't pay no attention.
What was the driver's name, Waldo?
Well, I didn't ask him.
Well, who was he driving for? Was there a sign on the truck?
No, it was dark when he picked me up. I didn't notice.
What was he hauling?
What should I know? I just bummed a ride. Say, who is this guy, officer? Do I have to answer his questions?
It won't hurt any.
Was it a refrigerated truck?
No, it wasn't.
Well, that's the first thing you seem sure of. How come?
Well, it was kind of all beat up, and... Well, it just didn't seem like no icebox, that's all.
This guy's trying to play hide-and-go-seek with you, Sergeant. That truck was a cooler, and he knows it.
How come you're so sure?
Ammonia gas. Can't you smell it? It's all over the place, including your overalls. Hose connection must have broken in the crack-up.
Look, wise guy, whoever you are...
Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
This officer wasn't...
Come on. None of that now.
Okay. I'm in the truck. There's a crash, and I get out to see what hit us. And while I'm on the ground, a truck driver pulls out on me. So what does that make me? A suspect in a murder case? Or just paperboy just looking for a story?
Oh, sure. I'm always looking for a story. Brother, this sure has the makings of one. A fish story. The sergeant got a few more vital statistics on Harry Waldo and then let him go with the usual business about keeping in touch in case the police wanted him for further questioning. After the mob cleared, I went over the area again in the dark. There was nothing. In the ditch, I noticed a battered-up wooden box, the kind they ship butter in. There was nothing there. So I went back into Joe's and phoned the story into my paper. I told the city desk where I could be reached, and then I got busy on that much-delayed order of scrambled eggs. Oh, they're good, Joe.
Hey, the others got cold. I made them fresh. Lots of butter, the way you like.
Thanks, Joe.
You know, can't get over that truck running out on the crash. What do you want to do that for? Must have known it wasn't his fault.
Well, who knows, Joe? Maybe he had a date.
Yeah.
Hello? Joe's Diner. Joe's talking. Yeah. Hold on.
It's for you, Mr. Stone. Take it in the booth.
Okay. Hello.
Andy, this is Mac on the desk.
Oh, well, that figures.
On that crash story you phoned in, is that all you can give us?
What else do you want?
How about the truck? What was it hauling?
Sorry, Mac. All I know is what I phoned in.
Did you ask around?
Well, of course I asked. Nobody knows. If you'd like to send out one of your better men for follow-up...
Funny stuff, Randy. Could the truck have been hauling butter?
Butter? Why?
Something came in on the wires this afternoon. I thought we could tie it in with the truck running out.
How?
I'll read it to you. It's date line Emerson, Manitoba, Canada. This city, hard hit by recent floods, reports theft of 21 tons of contaminated butter, which was being removed from the Ajax Creamery for disposal.
Contaminated?
The condemned butter, bearing the trade name of Dandy D, had been submerged for 3 weeks in stagnant sewage water because of recent flood conditions. Health authorities have expressed fears the butter may become the cause of a widespread typhoid epidemic.
Typhoid?
You think there could be any connection
Randy.
20 tons of typhoid fever in Chicago?
It makes sense, Randy. It's only a little over 900 miles from the border, 2 days by fast truck. And it's a cinch they'd have a tough time getting rid of it any closer. Randy, you still there?
Yeah. I'm not feeling so good, but I'm here.
What's the matter with you?
Just feeling that I'm on the verge of a story, one that I can do without. I ran back out to the ditch where I'd seen the wooden box. It was there all right. My heart sank when I lit a match and read the words, #1 Creamery Butter, Canada. Then I kicked the box over and saw a couple of greasy packages. There was some sort of a wrapping on them. When I read the words Dandy D, I began feeling bugs crawling down my throat. I went back to Joe's and got all the newspaper I could find and a pair of cotton gloves to boot. Then I picked up the box, put it in my car, and drove down to the Star. Mac's eyes popped through his glasses when he saw it. He got some Board of Health official out of bed and gave him the story over the phone. By the time we were through taking pictures, they had a crew of experts there to haul the stuff down to the lab for analysis. In the meantime, I helped Mac fix up a spread for the morning paper in the biggest, blackest type we had.
Well, does that make you feel any better, Randy?
That sure does. That warning ought to make a suspect out of every pound of butter in town. Nobody could possibly buy the stuff now. They'll have to get you.
Randy, there's over $10,000 worth of butter on that truck. Typhoid or no typhoid, those guys are going to try to sell it.
But how can they?
No trick to change the wrapper. Only one way to stop them. Find the truck.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell them that down at police headquarters.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
All right.
Close that door. Steady desk. Yeah, Mac talking. Oh, you did? You sure? Yeah. Yeah, we'll do all we can. Yeah, thanks for calling.
Who was it?
On your way down to police headquarters, Randy, you can take a little time out to pray. That was the lab man from the Board of Health.
Well, what was the verdict?
That butter is crawling with pestilence and death.
Typhoid?
Pestilence and death. Those were his exact words.
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. The NBC chimes are laughing, but they're not keeping the reason a secret. They want everyone to know they're laughing in anticipation of the mad and merry antics in store with two NBC fall favorites, Bob Hope and Groucho Marx. Hope returns to the air over most of these stations on Tuesday evening, October 3rd, just 1 week from tomorrow. Groucho Marx brings his laugh-filled quiz game, You Bet Your Life, to NBC, beginning Wednesday, October 4th. Listen when you hear the three chimes for laughs and more laughs with Bob Hope on October 3rd and Groucho Marx on October 4th. And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
At first, the police treated the typhoid butter story like it was a circulation builder for the Star. But bad news travels fast, and by the time I got in to see Police Chief Captain Sorensen, he'd heard all about it. He was a very worried man.
Hello, Randy. Come down to help me word my resignation.
Oh, it's that bad, huh?
Haven't got a thing.
What about that Waldo fellow who was on the truck? Have you picked him up?
He forgot to arrive home after the accident.
Well, that truck's got to hold up someplace.
I've set up roadblocks. I've sent out patrols. There's not a back alley in this city that won't be searched tonight. But we still have no real description of the truck.
Well, have you checked all cold storages and creameries?
First thing, nothing's come in.
You know, Mac thinks they may change the wrappers on the butter. Maybe if you call the printers.
No good, Randy. You can buy wax butter wrappers in any paper supply house. This thing has been pretty well thought out.
Well, no use my adding the confusion around here. I mind if I go down to this Waldo's place and have a look around?
Of course not. It's a boarding house over on St. Mary's Avenue. But look out for the old lady who runs the place. She'll talk you into a corner and keep you there.
Don't worry about me, Captain. With little old ladies, I come out fighting all the time. It was 11:30 when I pulled up in front of Harry Waldo's address. It was one of those sad-looking houses that seemed to be held together by memories of what they used to be 40 years ago. Now there was a sign in front that read, Furnished Rooms, Mrs. Angela Barr. I rang and waited. Someone had drawn the curtains apart a little and was giving me the once-over.
Yes,
Mrs. Barr,
yes. What is it?
can you open the door, please? It's urgent.
Goodness gracious, you police are the most persistent.
I'm not with the police, Mrs. Barr.
Not with the police. But you must be. They've been coming and going all night long.
No. I'm a newspaper reporter on the Star. My name is
A newspaper reporter. What a pleasant surprise. I declare I'm so excited. You must come in the kitchen and I'll make a cup of coffee.
No, thanks very much. You're very kind, but I really
What
must...
did you say your name was?
Stone, Randy Stone.
Oh, yes, of course. You sure you wouldn't like some coffee?
No, nothing, thank you.
Oh, goodness, she's awake.
Mrs. Barr, who is it?
It's all right, Nancy. It's just a visitor. Go back to sleep, dear.
Is Mommy home? I'm scared.
Now, there's nothing to be afraid of. Your mother will be home in a little while. Just go back to sleep like a good girl.
All right.
That's quite a cough.
Yes, the child has had such a cold. Poor Ellen is worried sick about her.
Ellen?
Her mother, Ellen Spencer. She's one of my tenants.
Oh, yes. Look, Mrs. Barr, I wanted to ask you some questions about another of your tenants.
Oh, yes. Mr. Waldo. The police have been bothering me all night. Whatever has he done? The police wouldn't tell me.
Well, he's done plenty. He's stolen a truckload of butter from the flood area up north.
Stolen?
Well, that's not all. That butter is contaminated with typhoid. If it ever gets into circulation, we'll...
Oh, how dreadful. How very dreadful.
Mrs. Barr, I have a favor to ask.
Now, how could I possibly do you a favor, Mr. Stone?
I'd like to have a look at Mr. Waldo's room.
But the police have already been through his room.
Yes, I know, but you know how it is when you've got to write a story. There's nothing like seeing it firsthand.
But at this time of night, do I have to let you in?
Well, legally, no.
Well, then,
You mean you refuse?
not exactly. Only surely a rich and powerful paper like the Star. Now that Mr. Waldo has disappeared, I'm sure I'll never get the rent he owes me.
Yes, I see. Now, how much?
Oh, dear. Money is so hard to come by when you're old and alone. Now, if I had the $50, Mr. Waldo...
It's worth 10.
So little.
Oh.
Oh, but then, you're such a nice young man. And I do enjoy your newspaper so much. I'll take it.
Her bright little eyes glistened as she took the 10 spot. Well, I guess it's like that when you're old. You can't eat too well. You can't sleep too well. You see life slipping by, but a 10 spot is something you can smooth out, put away, and look at again and again. Mrs. Barr followed me around as I went through Waldo's room. For a change, she had very little to say. I opened the drawers in his dresser. I looked under the bed. The kid in the next room was coughing again. I opened the closet door, and the smell that hit me was sharply familiar. Ammonia. In the corner, I picked up a pair of overalls that were saturated with the stuff. My friend Waldo had been home and changed. The phone downstairs started to ring.
Oh, dear, the telephone.
Want me to get down and answer?
Oh, no, it's probably Ellen. She's so worried about the child. Will you come down now?
Just another minute.
Oh, dear. You won't be long.
I'd like to borrow these overalls, if it's all right. Probably covered with germs.
Hello.
Wow, hello.
What are you doing in Mr. Waldo's room? Are you a burglar?
No, of course not. I'm one of Mr. Waldo's friends.
Then can you tell me when my Uncle Jim is coming back? He was going to bring me something from his trip.
Well, that's nice. Where did Uncle Jim go?
He went away with Mr. Waldo in the truck. But Mr. Waldo is back and not Uncle Jim.
Oh, does he drive a truck, your Uncle Jim?
He doesn't drive it. He owns it. And he gives me a ride in it, too.
Mm-hmm. Your Uncle Jim live here?
Oh, yes. Uncle Jim is my really real uncle. He and my mommy are brothers.
Oh, yes, I see.
Nancy, you naughty child.
Mrs. Barr.
The idea of getting out of bed.
I heard a noise.
Back to bed with you, child. That was your mother on the phone.
All right, Mrs. Barr. Good night, Mr. Burglar.
Good night, Nancy.
Imagine that child leaving her bed. Was she with you long, Mr. Stone?
Oh, no, she just told me she had an Uncle Jim.
Oh, yes. That's Ellen's brother. He's one of my other roomers.
I understand he owns a truck.
He's someplace in Ohio now, I believe. Been gone almost a month.
Couldn't have been Canada.
Christians. You simply have to excuse me. I must give that child her medicine. Good night, Mr. Stone.
I'd used up my $10 worth of welcome, so I drove over to police headquarters and filled in Captain Sorensen on Harry Waldo's overalls and little Nancy's Uncle Jim. It was his first lead. He called motor vehicles and ordered a fast check on the truck owned by Jim Spencer, and then he started briefing me on the more recent developments.
The city's in a panic, Randy. Warnings have been going out on the radio every 15 minutes. We've been flooded with calls from the mayor down.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with a gut ache is sure it's typhoid and wants us to send down a doctor. Come in.
Here's the dope on the truck, Captain.
No, we're getting somewhere. All right. Broadcast this and keep repeating it every half hour. Get it?
Yes, sir.
We'll get him now.
Well, you might try and sound a little more convincing. I left Sorensen chewing his upper lip. Then I headed for the Blue Angel and a little talk with Jim Spencer's sister, Ellen. The Blue Angel wasn't meant to lure the better-class citizen away from his hearth and home. It smelled of stale beer and looked as if it were being lit by half a dozen fireflies.
You'll find your happiness lies right under your eyes, back in your own backyard.
I found an empty booth and asked the waitress if Ellen Spencer worked there, and after a while a girl came over. She was attractive in a tired sort of way.
You asked for me?
Will you sit down, Ellen? I've got to talk to you.
I brought you some drinks. It's the rules here. If we sit with a customer, they got to buy us drinks.
That's okay.
What'd you want?
Talk.
What about?
Your brother Jim.
You a cop?
No.
What about Jim?
Where is he?
I don't know. What business is it of yours?
When did your brother and Harry Waldo leave on their last trip?
A week ago.
Mrs. Barr said Jim was in Ohio.
That old hag. She's in her second childhood.
Mm-hmm. Jim hasn't phoned you tonight?
No. What's all the noise about anyway? The kid gets scared and runs out on a traffic accident, so they'll catch him and give him 30 days. He'll be back.
Who told you about it?
I heard it over the radio.
Really? How did you know it was Jim?
Well, I...
You spoke to Harry?
Yeah. He phoned me to tell me Jim was all right.
Did he tell you they were hauling a load of stolen butter? Did you listen to the warnings over the radio about that butter? It's loaded with typhoid, that stuff is.
Oh, that's a lie. Just a smart police gag to get the butter back.
Harry tell you that, too? We got some of that butter, Ellen. It's been soaked in sewer bilge for a month.
Jim wouldn't touch anything like that. He's a good kid.
Maybe Jim thinks it's a gag, too. Might even get to eat some of the stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about. Look, mister, I'd better go back to work.
Ellen, you want it on a phone.
I'll have to leave now.
If you hear from Jim, tell him what he's up against.
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
And tell him to wash his hands. Good. I followed her to the phone booth or whatever the call was. It was brief. She hung right up, so I went outside, watched her through the door. In a few minutes, she came out wearing her coat. I slipped around the corner, watched her climb into a cab. I jumped into my car and followed. The cab stopped in front of her house. I parked my car half a block away, waited until all the lights went off, and then I got out and walked around to the back of the house. Somewhere inside were the directions to that missing butter. It was easy raising one of the kitchen windows. I climbed in. I stood for a minute, getting used to the dark. And then suddenly a switch flicked on and the place was flooded with light. Randy Stone, Esquire, standing there, stupidly blinking his eyes. Ellen walked a few steps toward me. She didn't scream. She didn't holler.
Isn't this carrying your job a little too far?
I knocked on the door, but nobody answered, so I turned the knob.
Well, turn it again and get out.
Somebody phoned you just before I left the Blue Angel. Was that Jim?
That's none of your business. Now get out.
If I go, Ellen, the place will be swarming with police in 15 minutes.
What do you mean?
Just this. You know where Jim is. If you won't tell me, you'll have to tell the cops. And when you do, you'll be involved. They'll make you an accessory.
Well, let him.
Where's the old lady?
Out for a drive.
At 1:30 in the morning?
She's the one who phoned me. She said she was going batty with cops hanging around. She had to get out of the house.
Ellen, for the last time, where's Jim?
I told you before, I don't know.
They're closing in on him. You'd be doing him a favor if they get him before he sold any of that stuff.
Oh, are you still working that typhoid gag?
It's no gag, believe me. You want the lab report on it?
No.
All right, then listen to it this way. Maybe you'll understand it. The kid sits down to eat, and his mother hands him a piece of bread and butter, only it's not butter. Something has been lying around in filthy sewer water for a long time. 10 or 11 days, the kid gets sick, like your kid. He's burning with fever one minute, and the next minute he's as cold as ice. His tongue is thick, and his guts feel like they're bursting. That's what typhoid is like.
Stop it, will you?
If a good doctor gets to him, the kid may live. Lots of kids may not be that lucky, Ellen. Also, you can keep your kid brother out of jail.
Look, I don't know where he is.
Why did you talk to Waldo?
He phoned me at the club. He laughed about that typhoid.
Where did he phone
I
from?
don't know. Someplace in town. Now, let me alone.
Would that be...
I'll take that.
No, you won't. Ellen made a grab for the phone, but I beat her to it. She clawed at me. I had to get rough, but I got the receiver. Hello.
This is the long-distance operator.
Yes?
On your call to Elwood, we are unable to contact Mr. Jim Spencer. Shall we continue to try?
No, thank you. Was that Elwood?
Yes, sir. Elwood, Illinois. Thank you, sir.
That was it, so they'd gone on to Elwood. I called Captain Sorensen. He picked me up in a squad car with two of his best men. It was a 70-mile ride to Elwood, and we made it in a little over an hour. It was after 3 a.m. when the clerk at the only hotel in town showed us his register. There was no Waldo and no Spencer. Then Sorensen got a bright idea. He asked the clerk if there was a creamery in town. There wasn't. No cold storage plant either. Just old Mayor Hoskins' ice house down the road. We jumped into a car and drove over there. That's nothing but an old barn.
Oh, there's a light around the back.
Randy, you come with me. You two cut around the other side of the building.
Right.
Oh, there's the truck, you see it?
Yeah.
All right, give me a lift, Captain. I'll see if I can get a look in through the window. It's Waldo.
They got the butter?
Yep. There's the other one. That must be Spencer.
Get down. We'll take them now. All right, Spencer, get him up.
Jim, the law.
Those hands up, Spencer. You're covered.
You too, Waldo. Don't try anything.
Who's trying anything?
Hold it, Captain. Hold it. Somebody else is coming.
Kill the lights. We'll make a sound, you two, if you want them.
We pulled the big door shut, flicked off the lights, and waited in the dark. Guns pressed into Waldo and Spencer. A car had pulled up outside. Whoever it was seemed to be having a time with the door, and then finally it opened and the lights went on. Mrs. Barr.
Oh, goodness. How you startled me. Why, it's Mr. Stone. Have you been waiting long? And dear, I thought my lazy boys had gone to sleep.
No, they haven't.
And I suppose Harry Waldo has told you all about me. I just know he did.
Well, not everything. That is, not yet, he hasn't.
I just knew that boy had no character. And now I suppose you want to take me back to the city. But I hate Chicago in June. I don't think I'll go with you. Don't come any closer.
Drop it, lady. Okay, Mother. Randy, get the gun.
Yep.
Lady, don't you know these things explode?
Now, wasn't that foolish of me? I was going to try to get away. But where could I have gone? Where could an old lady go and hide? I do believe I'm getting senile. Isn't that a horrible word, Mr. Stone?
Mrs. Barr, this is no joking matter. Don't you understand that butter could have caused an epidemic?
Why, of course. Isn't it terrible?
Yet you were willing to sell it?
You didn't think I was going to eat it myself, did you? It was all I could do to look at the horrible stuff. But $10,000. That's such a lot of money to a poor old lady. Such a lot of money.
10 a.m. and it's all buttoned up. Oh, brother, what a nightmare if a thing like that had ever happened. And all from ignorance and greed. What's that old wheeze about money being the root of all evil? Well, it's not just money. There's got to be a touch of insanity sprinkled in along with it. Like that poor old lady. Poor? When the cops ran a make on her, they uncovered a fascinating record of over 50 years of criminal history, not to mention a dozen bank accounts. Guess she didn't trust Banks any too much. Such a sweet old doll. Well, at least I got to see the sun come up this morning while we were driving back, climbing up into the sky like a great big yellow ball of butter. Oh, no, what am I saying? Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis and edited by Larry Marcus. Tonight's story was written by Lou Rusoff and Russell Bender with music by Frank Worth. The part of Harry was played by Don Diamond. Jane Morgan was Mrs. Barr. Others in tonight's cast were Joan Banks, Nestor Piva, Peter Leeds, Ann Whitfield, and Tudor Owen. Frank Lovejoy may currently be seen in Milton Sperling's production Three Secrets, released by Warner Brothers. And now here again is the star of our program, Frank Lovejoy.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, here's important news about Night Beat. Next week, we're moving to Friday evenings over most of these stations. That's beginning 1 week from this Friday. On October 6th, you'll hear Night Beat at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Friday. So would you listen then to our next adventure 11 days from tonight? I'll see you on Friday, October 6th. Good night.
Listen on Friday, October 6th, and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness. Night Beat came to you from Hollywood. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Friday, October 6th means the return of Chester A. Riley, played by William Benson, in the hilarious The Life of Riley. Mom, Babs, Junior, Digger Odell, and the entire cast will be on hand to join in the fun. Saturday, October 7th is the day when Dennis Day and Judy Canova will be back on the air. Make a listening date now. This is NBC.
This I Believe. Dr. Gilbert Murray of Britain is internationally distinguished as a Greek scholar, poet, dramatist, and statesman. He was professor of Greek at Oxford University for 30 years and was also professor of poetry at Harvard. He participated in the founding of the League of Nations and was the president of the Committee on Intellectual Cooperation. Nearly 90, Dr. Gilbert Murray is still translating the wisdom of the past and adding to our knowledge of the future.
In trying to say what I really believe, I cannot recite one of the traditional creeds, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, or the like. Most of us are born into one of them, and which it is depends simply on what country and what parents we come from. A great mystery surrounds us, in which the human mind can at best catch glimpses and express itself in metaphors. For myself, I come on my mother's side from a family of teachers, almost of school marms, and grew up accordingly, a good, obedient little boy who kept all the rules. On my father's side, however, I came of a line of Irish rebels, always suspicious of authorities and deeply prejudiced in favour of the underdog. I loved new ideas and poetry, so naturally in my teens I fell deeply under the influence of Shelley. Prometheus Unbound was for some years to me almost a sacred book. Such poetry, and such a religion, proclaiming a rejection of all the oppressors who misrule the world, all the superstitions that cripple man's mind and prevent his going straight as the crow flies towards perfection. An illusion, of course. Perhaps I was rather slow in growing out of it. The other main influence that has gone to forming my beliefs was that of ancient Greece. I could hardly have escaped it, having been a professor of Greek most of my life, from 23 to 70. It got hold of me first, I suppose, by the charm of its poetry. Then it seemed to me that the great Greek thinkers were mostly facing the same problems as ourselves, but facing them more freely and frankly, not hampered by all the complexities and inherited conventions that confuse us today. They did, sincerely and simply, try to understand truth and justice and the good life. Then, at last, in 1914, came the shock of the Great War, bringing for me, as for so many people, not any change of belief, but a great change of focus. The prevention of war became the thing that mattered most in the world. I took part in the founding of the League of Nations, and for 30 years now I have been working in that cause, learning, I think, a good deal by the way. It needed more than enthusiasm. It needed patience and experience and common sense. It needed day by day far more knowledge than I possessed. But I found good guides and companions. I learnt to think less of abstract principles, less still of party catchwords and slogans. I have found among all parties and all religions men inspired by the great movement that leads towards peace, outward and inward. And I feel much truth in an old Greek philosopher's saying, "The helping of man by man is God."
That was Dr. Gilbert Murray, Greek scholar, philosopher, and statesman. He lives now in Boars Hill, Oxford, but he is truly a citizen of the world.
National Broadcasting Company presents Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Diamond, this is Walt. Where the devil are you?
Where I started out to be, down on River Street, looking for
Well,
the guy...
you stay right there and wait for me. But you might as well stop looking.
Why stop looking?
Take my word for it, he's not there.
Well, if you're so smart, where is he?
The city morgue. We fished him out of the river 10 minutes ago.
Here's another exciting case from the files of Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency, first over the bars.
That's nice.
Oh, hello, Helen, baby.
Busy?
No, why?
I'm lonesome. Can't you come over?
Honey, I'd love to, but you can never tell when...
Mr. Diamond.
Oh, see what I mean?
Or customer?
Oh, let's see. What can I do for you?
I want to hire you.
Helen, the man wants to hire me.
Oh, good. I'll call you back. Bye.
Bye. Now, Mr.
Wellington, Mr. Diamond. Caspar Wellington.
Oh, well, pull up a couch and tell me the details, Mr. Wellington.
I need a bodyguard, Mr. Diamond.
Why?
Oh, it's not for myself. It's for Timothy.
Well, why does Timothy need a bodyguard?
Someone's trying to kill him.
Oh, you've been to the police?
Oh, yes, but they feel it's not quite important enough for them.
You mean this Timothy's life is in danger and the police won't handle it?
Yes. Isn't it ridiculous?
I don't know. Has anybody tried to kill Timothy before?
Well, no one has exactly tried to kill him, but I very definitely expect an attempt.
Right, now, look, this Timothy, is he a friend of yours?
Oh, yes, a very good friend.
So what makes you think that someone is going to try to kill him?
Mr. Diamond, I came here to hire you to protect Timothy. I'm perfectly willing to pay you your fee, but for the moment, the rest of your questions must go unanswered.
Well, my fee's $100 a day in expenses, Mr. Wellington. Still perfectly willing to pay it?
Here's the cash.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be another 100 if you protect Timothy long enough for me to get him on a train tomorrow.
Where's he going?
Out of town, where he can be safe.
What's Timothy's last name?
That will also have to go unanswered.
Oh, well, now, wait a minute. Supposing I do take the job, where do I meet this Timothy? How will I know him?
If you take the job, He'll be in your office in a matter of minutes.
Well, something sure doesn't ring up right, but the 200 fish and expenses, I'd play footsies with a cobra.
Good. Now, I'm going down to the train station to pick up Timothy's ticket. When he arrives, I expect you to remain with him constantly.
Until tomorrow? Oh, I got a small apartment. I hate the bundle.
Don't let him out of your sight for a moment. I want him alive and well when he gets on that train in the morning.
Does he play Parcheesi?
Well, I doubt it, but you never can tell. He might like it.
Dandy.
Have him at Grand Central at 8 o'clock. I'll meet you.
Do you know of any way I could possibly learn to hate money?
If I did, I would never have come to you. Good day, Mr. Diamond.
Atlantic Bone and Fertilizer.
Oh, that's a fit.
Just wondering how a new business would work out.
Now what's wrong?
I have a very unhealthy feeling that I've just let myself in for something I won't like.
Oh, the client?
Well, kind of. I've got a guard, a friend of his.
What's the matter with that?
Oh, I'm not going all through that again. The client just came on like Secret Service. I got the name of the guy he wants guarded, and I know that someone's going to try and kill him. And that's it.
Rick, you be careful.
Honey, the client shoved $200 in my rural hot hand.
Oh, good.
What do you want me to do? I'm trying for capitalist this year.
Didn't your client go to the police first?
Sure. He went to the police with the...
Hey, you.
Me?
What?
Yeah, you.
Rick, are you listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Put down the phone, friend. We want to talk to you.
Well, if you're listening, why don't you answer my question? If your client went to the police...
That's better.
Well, now, I'm a sport, especially when someone's got a gun pointed at me.
Oh, the gun ain't going to hurt you, chum, if you answer a couple of questions. Where's Casper Wellington?
Who?
You going to be difficult?
Look, you got a gun on me. Who wants to be difficult?
You don't know Casper Wellington, friend?
Never heard of him.
We seen him come into the building.
No, so you figured he came to see me. It's such a small building, only about 100 offices.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Glad you liked it.
No, but we didn't. You're the only private detective in the building. We figured maybe Casper wanted to hire you.
What would he want to hire me for? What did this guy do?
How do you like that, George? Now he's a nosy comic.
Well, Durante gets away with it.
Friend, I have just decided your humor bores me.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, ain't it, Tony? Suppose we push his face around, huh? Maybe he don't feel like no more Joe.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I don't know anything about this Casper or whatever his name is. What good's it going to do to work me over?
Well, now, you see, Tony and me got real nasty dispositions. We've been crossed, and then you make with the jokes. We don't like being the only ones unhappy, so we think maybe you ought to join us.
Now, look. Hold it a second, George.
What for? He's a setup.
Oh, wait. We mess him up, the law comes. We got to find Casper. We ain't got no time to play patty cake with the cops.
I just want to cross the mouth.
Forget it. Look, friend, you sure Casper Wellington didn't come in here?
I couldn't be more positive.
Okay. Put down a rod, George.
Yeah.
That don't look so unhappy. Maybe the shamus is lying. We catch him telling a fib. Just think of the fun you can have later on, huh? Come on.
We'll leave him?
Yeah. So long, friend. And for your sake, I hope you've been leveling.
Yeah. See you around.
Yeah, bye. This is fool's fancy chop soy power.
Now, you listen to me, Richard Diamond. The next time you hang up on me, I'll never speak to you again. And you better have a pretty good excuse for doing it this time. You know I take a lot of things from you, Rick, but never once have you hung up on me.
Helen, please.
And I think it was rude and inconsiderate.
Helen.
And I want to know right now, this minute, just what kind of a poor, lame brain excuse you're going to come up with.
Helen!
Well?
Now, look, baby, I don't know what's going on. This is like doing business in a roundhouse. The only reason I hung up on you was because two guys stole in here and shoved guns in my face.
Rick!
And they were looking for the guy who came in earlier and hired me to look after someone named Timothy that I haven't even seen yet.
It sounds awfully confusing.
It is. Oh, hold the phone. Here's somebody else. Come in with your hands up.
You Richard Diamond?
Yep.
Got a crate here addressed to you.
Oh, that figures. Bring it in. Helen.
Yes?
You sent me maybe a present?
No. You want me to?
Yeah, but someone's beating you to it.
Where do you want it?
Good grief. Put it down right there.
What's the matter?
The present. The biggest crate you ever saw.
Crate? What's in it?
How do I know?
Well, open it.
Okay, Mr. Diamond, stand right here.
Yeah. There you are.
I hope you still be very happy.
Helen.
Yes?
Hold the phone. I'm going to open this thing.
All right.
Oh, no. Oh, get away. Get away. Now, get on. Get on. Don't come up here. Don't. Oh, Helen.
Rick, what in the world's the matter?
Helen, if this is your idea of a joke.
Please calm down and tell me what's wrong.
What, can't you hear it?
Well, I heard something, but I thought you must have eaten your lunch too fast.
Well, I'm standing on my desk trying to fight off a monster.
What?
Call up Charles Adams right away.
A monster?
Yes. I swear it was a seal, but I know my friend's better than that. This thing has got to be poisonous.
A seal?
Yes, a seal. Hey, he's not so bad. He's applauding. You must have liked that remark about Adams.
Now you stop it. Do you expect me to believe all this?
She doubts you, fella. Say a few words.
Rick, who in the world would send you a seal?
I don't even need to look. This has got to be Timothy. Oh, it is Timothy. When he heard his name, he made like a curtain call.
Sounds like one Richard Diamond.
Hey, that's pretty... nothing. I'll call you back.
Where are you going?
I'm going to take Timothy right back to Mr. Casper Wellington and tell him that...
Yes?
Oh, for the love of... I don't know where to find Mr. Casper Wellington. Well, there it was. It was pretty silly. The smart, shrewd, level-headed Richard Diamond, for the sake of a couple of hundred fast bucks, winds up playing nursemaid and companion to a honking seal. Just to make sure it was Timothy, I took a look at the crate, and there on top was a small printed card. It read, "This is Timothy. If you want him to do something, throw him a fish. Herring. Signed, Casper Wellington." Well, that tore it. My temper was already pushing my hair up to attention, so I went out to the nearest delicatessen and came back with a bag of fish. With this, I lured Timothy out of the building and down the street. I had to find Casper Wellington, so 60 pedestrians and one unhappy cabbie later, Timothy and I strolled casually into the 5th Precinct Police Station. Oh, well, hello, Sergeant Otis.
Oh, how are you, Shamus? Huh?
How what?
What'd you just say?
I said, hello, Sergeant Otis.
No, after that. Yeah, that was it.
Something wrong, Sergeant?
Yes!
Otis, say hello to Timothy. Timothy, this is Sergeant Otis.
Lieutenant!
Go on and kiss the Sergeant, Timothy. Go on.
Oh, no. Get him away from me. Get him away.
Oh, Otis, he's not so bad.
Lieutenant! Help!
Now, Otis, come down off that desk. You look sillier than I did.
He's trying to eat me.
Oh, be quiet. You too, Timothy. You'll wake up the lieutenant. Here's a fish. Throw it to Timothy.
And that's for you, Diamond. You'll probably take my arm along with it. Get away. Help!
What the devil is going on out here? Otis, what are you doing up there?
Hello, Walt.
What are you doing to my sergeant? And you shut up, Otis.
That wasn't me.
What do you mean it wasn't you? Of course it was you.
Walt, meet Timothy.
How do you...
I'd hate to think what would happen if someone wandered in here with a walrus. Come on, Timothy. Let's go see the brave old head of homicide.
Yeah. Get him out of here.
Oh, relax, Otis. Timothy's as scared as you are.
Oh, yeah? What makes you say that?
He's probably thinking there's more like you. That would be a horrible shock to anyone, even a seal.
Oh.
Come on, Timothy.
You get that thing out of here right now, Diamond.
Everybody's standing on something. You'd think it was a steam bath.
Up till now, I've had 2 reported homicides and a couple of fat robberies. And if you think you're going to wander in here with that thing and confuse the whole department, you're mistaken. Now get it out of here.
Oh, Walt, it's only a seal. Have a fish.
I'm not hungry.
No, Walt, it's for Timothy. Feed it to him. He'll love you.
Yeah? Do you think so?
Sure, Walt. Go ahead. Try it.
Okay. Here, Timothy. Hey, he's applauding.
Sure, he's a nice little fella. Now, climb down and help me.
Give me another fish.
Oh, won't come down without it, huh? Okay, Walt, speak.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I want to feed it to Timothy. He likes me. See?
Oh, lovely. Why don't you two get engaged?
Oh.
Well, after everybody got used to him, Timothy made the rounds of the whole department, with the commissioner being the only exception, of course. I told Walt the story about Casper Wellington and the 2 gonifs who had come into my office looking for him. So Walt put Otis to work checking on the whereabouts of my missing client. Along about 3 in the afternoon, Otis pounced in with some news.
Hey, Diamond.
You find something?
Oh, hi, Timothy. Yeah. Say, I checked with the Humane Society, and they report some guy who lives down by the docks. The name's Wellington, all right. He's been turned in a couple of times because he raises seals, and they make a lot of noise. Oh, and Lieutenant, we just got a report on another homicide.
Well, thanks, Sporty.
You tell the lieutenant all about it, Otis. I'm going after Casper Wellington. What's the address?
Here it is. 918 River Street.
Come on, Tim.
Goodbye, Timothy.
Otis.
Oh, yeah. What was I saying?
Homicide, remember? Just a little old homicide.
I left Walt and Otis climbing over the furniture and headed for the address of Casper Wellington. Timothy and I grabbed the first cabbie who didn't believe what he was seeing, and 20 minutes later we pulled up in front of a building on River Street. Thanks, cabbie.
Yeah, sure.
Thank the man, Timothy.
Mister.
Yeah?
I didn't ask you nothing when you got in the cab because I just didn't believe it. Is that the seal you got with you?
You're expecting maybe a raccoon?
Do you always take him around with you like that?
Sure, we're brothers. Stop by the house sometime for dinner when Mom isn't taking a swim. She's not a very good driver, is he, Timothy? You know it. Come on, you're going home.
Hold it right here, friend. You hide him. This is a gun in your back.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. You lied to me, friend.
I'll go stand in the corner.
Nah, don't move.
Okay.
George, grab the seal.
Oh, now, wait a minute. You can't do that.
Want to bet? Come here, you.
Take your hands off that seal.
Shut your mouth, friend. Next time you don't get it across the neck, I'll give you the rat on the skull.
Okay, friend.
I got him.
All right, get him in a car. You, stay put. One bad move, you're going to get shot up very bad.
Yeah.
Come on, George. You got that thing in the car?
Yeah, he's saying let's get out of here.
All right, friend.
Yeah.
You see this I got pointed at you?
I see.
Good. Forget about today, you won't see it again. Open that big yap of yours and it goes boom. Now turn around, because when we leave, I don't want you looking back for no license number.
Well, I stood there while they drove off with poor little Timothy. Then I made a quick dash across the street and to a store with a phone booth. Seconds later, I was hearing one of the most beautiful sounds in the world.
Diamond, this is Walt. Where the devil are you?
Where I started out to be, down on River Street, looking for my client.
Well, you stay right there and wait for me, but you might as well stop looking.
Well, why stop looking? His house is just down at the end of the block.
Well, take my word for it, he isn't there.
Well, if you're so smart, where is he?
The city morgue. We fished him out of the river 10 minutes ago.
What?
He was suffering from a hole in his chest. Dead before he was tossed in.
Oh, Walt. Remember those two guys who came into my office earlier?
Yeah?
Well, they just put the snatch on Timothy and belted me across the neck for my trouble.
They swiped the seal?
Yeah, so get on here. I'll meet you at Casper Wellington's house.
Anybody in the house, Rick?
Well, no answer.
Well, let's case the place. I've got a skeleton key.
Walt. It's open, see? Now, if you'll notice as I walk in, at no time do my feet leave my legs.
Very funny.
Whew. Yeah, smells like somebody's been cooking up a fish stew.
Crummy joint.
Ooh, get a load of that kitchen.
What a mess.
Oh, weren't cooking fish, Walt, just cleaning it.
There's still a mess of them left in the sink.
Well, Casper raised seals.
Where are the rest of them?
Go out.
Yeah?
Come here.
What is it?
Get a look at this backyard.
Holy cow. Bunch of dead seals.
Who in the world would do anything like that?
Maybe your two friends.
Hey, what's this?
What's what?
This bag on the floor, leather bag.
What's in it?
Nothing. Wait a minute. Some kind of dust at the bottom.
Well, save it. We'll have it analyzed when we get down to the station. We've got to check up on those two guys who kidnapped Timothy.
This is the craziest case.
I got a hunch. Sure, it's crazy, but if I'm right, it's also pretty smart. Let's go to the station.
Hey, Lieutenant.
Yeah, Otis?
We just got something else on that Casper Wellington guy.
Oh? What did he steal?
Hey, how'd you know?
Just a guess.
Well, what is it, Hammerhead?
Well, it seems this Wellington guy used to work for David & Sons.
David & Sons?
Diamond importers.
Oh, that ties it.
Would somebody mind telling me what the devil this is all about? And, Rick, you stay out of it. Now, Otis, what about Wellington?
Wellington? Oh, he ran off with a load of diamonds.
Yeah, $50,000 worth. Hey, but you don't...
Rick, will you please, for the sake of my sour stomach, tell me exactly what it is you know?
I'd be glad to, Lieutenant. It's very simple. Wellington comes to me and asks me to guard Timothy. 2 guys kidnapped Timothy.
That we heard.
Then we find a bunch of dead seals in Wellington's backyard and the remains of a pile of cleanfish.
So?
So, the 2 guys who kidnapped Timothy were obviously after something, and the seal was part of it.
Hey, maybe Timothy wasn't a seal after all.
Now, what would he be, Otis?
Well, if those guys wanted him that bad, maybe he was a mink.
That bag you picked up, Walt. Have that powder in the bottom analyzed. I'll lay 6 to an even that it's diamond dust.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think Timothy's got a stomach full of diamonds.
What?
I think Casper was mixed up with the 2 guys who grabbed the seal, but in some way crossed them.
Why?
He had to hide the loot, so he stuck it in some fish and fed it to Timothy. Then he left Timothy with me for protection until he could get him shipped out on the train.
And in the meantime, the 2 guys who found Casper killed him and went back to his house to find the loot. Mm-hmm. They figured out the fish like you did and killed the seals in the backyard trying to find the stuff.
You, my friend, win a herring.
Otis, have the powder in the bottom of this bag analyzed. Put out a 108 on Timothy.
Yes, sir.
Diamond here will give you the description of the guys who grabbed him.
We'll never find him that way.
You got a better idea?
Maybe, yeah. Look, you said those 2 guys killed Casper and then went right over to the house to look for the missing diamonds.
Yeah.
All right, they knew where to look, but they didn't find anything. So they waited for me and Timothy.
So?
So Casper Wellington probably told them all about it before they killed him, trying to save his own life.
All right, I'll buy that. So what?
So by now they must know how hot those diamonds are. They're certainly not going to try to get rid of them here in town.
And then they leave town.
Yeah. And with that much loot, it would be a little risky if they try it by car.
All right. How do they do it?
The same way Casper thought of. Ship Timothy out on a train.
Wait a minute, Rick. Otis.
Yeah?
Put in a call to all units. Tell them to cover the airports, train, and bus stations. Be on the lookout for a seal that's about to be shipped.
Come on, Walt.
Where to?
Well, as long as Casper Wellington already made the arrangements by train, let's get on to Grand Central. Maybe our 2 seal nappers will keep the reservation. Well, Walt and I piled in the squad car again, and 20 minutes later we were standing in the middle of Grand Central Station with a bag of fish and a weather eye out for the missing seal and his 2 abductors.
Now, where do we start?
Well, Walt, why don't you just go ask information? Just say, I'm looking for 2 men and a seal. The seal is hiding $50,000 worth of diamonds.
Now, you stop that. This was plenty silly before a jewel robbery and a homicide get into the picture, but now it's gotten ridiculous.
Well, if I was a seal, where would I go?
They have to crate him. The shipping department.
And so, with their trusty bag of fish, the 2 brave detectives walked...
Shut up and let's go.
Oh, no. Come on, let's go get something.
Well, smile, Walt. This kind of case doesn't happen but once every 10,000 years. Think of your report to the commissioner.
If you don't stop kidding with me, so help me
out.
Hey,
Walt.
Well, now what?
Look, those 2 guys.
Where?
Going down the ramp.
Oh, they got a big box.
That's it. Let's take them.
You said they got guns.
They were pointing things that shot bullets. Could be guns.
Take it easy. They're going up to that counter.
Yeah. Hold it here. No sense in starting a shooting match. Too many people.
Well, what do we do? Maybe the seal's not in the box. And if I pick them up without the loot, we may never find it.
I got an idea.
Go ahead, genius.
Timothy likes fish, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, take this bag. They know me, so you walk down there and move in close to the box. Timothy's bound to get a whiff, and if I know Timothy, he'll raise a few flippers.
You want me to...
You want to get those diamonds, don't you?
Oh, give me the bag.
Don't snap. People will just think you ran out of cologne. Now get going.
Yeah. Pardon me, but I'd like to find out about sending something.
Oh, yeah? Well, what's the idea, Buster? We was here first.
Shut up, stupid. You boys must be really sending something big.
Do know.
I told you to shut up. Yeah, some furs.
Oh, live ones?
Hey, Tiny, what's with the seal?
Will you shut up?
What?
I hate to mention it, but your furs are throwing a fit.
Okay,
boys, that's all I wanted to know.
Grab that stinking seal. Gone after the sack. This guy lays down. It's a sack full of fish.
Hey, what's the idea?
Hello, stay right there. Hey, Rick.
Cops, were you...
All right, Bud, drop it.
Huh?
I said drop it.
Okay.
You ain't taking me.
Look out, Rick. This guy's got a gun.
Let go. Let go of my hand. Will you get the seal off? He's chewing my hand off.
And drop the gun.
All right. Get him off. Come on, get him off.
How do you like that? Timothy grabbed this gun up by the gun hand and made him drop it. I'll be darned.
Crazy seal nearly killed me.
You and your bright idea. Ship the seal, you said.
Okay, boys. Here's a bracelet for you. Let's go outside.
Walt, wait a minute. We got to get the jewels.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll take care of these two guys, and I'll take Timothy to a good veterinary.
Okay. Walt.
Yeah?
If it means surgery, keep in touch.
Sure.
Bye, Timothy.
Rick.
Huh?
Now, don't be unhappy.
Oh, how can I help it, honey? He's been in surgery for nearly an hour.
Oh, but he'll be all right. They got a good vet.
Oh, I hope so. I was getting attached to that seal. Oh, I got it. Yeah?
Rick?
Yeah, Walt. Yeah. How's Timothy?
He had the diamonds in him, all right.
Oh, but how's he?
Well,
Go ahead, Walt. You can tell me. I can stand it.
he's very weak. Doctor says he thinks he doesn't want to live. No will.
Oh, well, what's the matter? He was such a happy seal.
I think he misses you, Rick. Every time someone mentions your name, he kind of honks and raises a weak flipper.
I better come right down.
He's sinking fast.
Oh, you think maybe if he heard my voice, can you get a phone near him?
Yeah, wait a minute. Okay, I got it next to his ear. Say something.
Hello, Timothy. Oh, Walt.
Yeah?
Walt, ask him if he's seen a picture called Mrs. Mike.
He says he saw it. Didn't like the leading man.
Oh.
Loved Evelyn Keyes.
Oh. Ask him if he liked the music.
Yeah, he liked that.
Well, put the receiver next to his ear and I'll sing him the theme song.
Well, go ahead and try. Anything in case of an emergency.
If her name is Kathy, she's mine alone. When I walk with Kathy, proud am I. She's the girl I'll marry, and cross the threshold I'll carry. And I'll love but Kathy till I die. She's the only angel I've ever known. She's a maid no man is worthy of. Although girls are many, compared to her, there isn't any. Only Kathy do I love. Well, Walt? He's better?
Listen.
Good old Timothy, that a boy.
I guess the singing did it.
What do you mean you guess? When I sang with the Peter Pan 5, we played 2 weeks at the Coral Gables Hotel in Florida.
So what?
So what? I'll have you know 5 minutes after I opened my mouth, every seal in the Biscayne Keys came in and sat ringside.
That sounds like a pretty good act. Well, what'd you give it up for?
Well, I got a sore throat one night, and the place was up to its ears in alligators.
Rick.
Yes, Walt?
Bye.
You have just heard Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Ed Begley played Lieutenant Walt Levinson. Also in the cast were Wilms Herbert, Fay Baker, Junius Matthews, Billy Bletcher, Tony Barrett, and Larry Dobkin. Music was under the direction of Frank Worth. Richard Diamond is written by Blake Edwards and directed by Russell Hughes. Dick Powell currently may be seen in the motion picture version of the best-selling novel, Mrs. Mike. Isn't that right, Dick?
Yeah, that's right, Eddie. Oh, by the way, Ed Begley, who plays Lieutenant Levinson on our show, would like to say a few words to his old friends in Hartford, Connecticut.
Well, I just want to say on behalf of all of us here on Richard Diamond, Congratulations to radio station WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut, where I got my start in radio, and which this week celebrates its 25th anniversary of service to the people of southern New England.
Thank you, Ed Begley. Now, this is Eddie King inviting you to be with us next Sunday at this same time when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. Governing a country is a pretty hard-headed business, and we don't usually think of our government as a dealer in dreams. But in one respect it is, because it's a dealer in savings bonds. Your particular dream for the future can come true through the judicious purchase of United States savings bonds today. As for buying United States savings bonds, the process is simplicity itself. If you're employed by others, use the payroll savings plan where you work. Your employer will set aside a specific sum from each paycheck for the purchase of bonds. If you're self-employed, use the bond-a-month plan where you bank. Either way, you'll be saving with regularity, with certainty, and with profit through the purchase of United States savings bonds. What's on NBC today? You'll hear Charles Boyer and Dorothy McGuire today on Theater Guild on the Air in Autumn Crocus. And there's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show to add to your Sunday listening pleasure. Be sure to hear Charles Boyer and Dorothy McGuire on Theater Guild on the Air and the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show today on NBC.
This I Believe. Next to education, Gilbert F. White, 39-year-old president of Haverford College, considers himself in the water business. For 15 years, he has served the U.S. government on natural resources and problems. Now, his beliefs.
I have studied many streams, from their rushing mountain headwaters to their sluggish tidal mouths. Great giants of rivers, tiny tributary brooks, streams flowing from clear springs, streams disappearing in sandy deserts. In all of them, one finds the same forces of nature at work, making for the slow carving out of valleys and for the enrichment of plants and wildlife. Everywhere there is a delicate balance among water, soil, plants, and animals. Man can change this moving balance of nature for the good by stabilizing it at new levels and by adding new harmonious elements, as when he stores the water of ephemeral streams to create green oases. Or he can throw it out of balance by selfish or ignorant use of resources, so as to set in motion a vicious chain of destruction, as when he slashes a forest and launches a whole new cycle of soil erosion. Whether one explores the nearby stream or the mysteries of interstellar space, one finds order and a sense of divine direction in the physical universe. The biologist in his laboratory learns that there is a law of mutual aid, which is dominant in the animal and plant world. Each of us learns for himself in the innermost laboratory of his conscience that there is a law of love among mankind. I believe that this is the law which Jesus preached. This is the law which he lived supremely. I believe that each of us finds greatest use and greatest satisfaction in a life which respects and kindles the spark of the divine that is found in the conscience of every other member of the human brotherhood, and which nourishes the harmonious growth of individual men and women. To set the welfare of any national or racial group ahead of the development of individuals, or to coerce individual expression of thought and worship, is to unloose a destructive erosion of human values to gain the temporary prosperity of a state. While watching the German occupation of France, I became convinced that man can no more conquer or preserve a civilization by war than he can conquer nature solely by engineering force. The good life, like the balance of all the complex elements of a river valley, is founded upon friendly adjustment. It changes slowly, but it leads always towards a more fruitful development of individual men in service of each other. It embraces confidence in fellowship, tolerance in outlook, humility in service, and a constant search for the truth. To seek it in our own lives means imperfection and disappointment, but never defeat. It means, I believe, putting ourselves in harmony with the divine order of love, with the great stream of forces that slowly are shaping, in spite of man's ignorance and selfishness, an enrichment of the human spirit.
That was President Gilbert White of Haverford College, a student of nature and, we might add, of human beings.
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by two famous Bristol-Myers products, Ipana and Sal Hepatica. Ipana for the smile of beauty, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Ipana, Sal Hepatica. And it shall be my dear District Attorney, not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
This evening our adventure begins in a closely guarded house in the District Attorney's county. Here we find Vanny Devine, once a leading figure in the underworld, talking to Monk Garson, his only remaining follower.
I'm through, Monk. I can't take it anymore. I can't stand it any longer.
Oh, look, Vanny, you're safe in this county. Relax and try to get some sleep.
Sleep? I can't sleep. How can a man sleep with that monkey chattering all the time?
Quiet, no dice. Quiet. You're bothering the boss.
The monkey give me the creeps. Why don't you throw him out the window?
Wait a minute, Vanny. I took my moniker from this little fella because he's all up. Hey, you've seen him pick up the dice and rattle them just like he knew. Yeah. That's why I call him No Dice. All the luck we got left. Anyhow, he ate a monkey, he's a marmoset.
Well, it gets on my nerves.
Oh, take it easy, Vanny. You'll be all right. I told you, this DA, he don't let anybody come in his town that could hurt you.
Yeah, he don't know half the guys that are after me. If this county's so safe, why'd I get that note from Bullett's Kane?
Well, they can't stop Bullett's Kane from using the U.S. mail. Quiet, No Dice. Quiet.
Hey, how about that doctor? Doesn't he do here now?
Hey, he's right outside.
Get him in there.
Sure, boss, sure. Come in, Dr. McCord. Mr. Devine is ready for the treatment.
Oh, thanks, Garson. Well, Devine, how do you feel?
Lousy, Doc. I can't get no rest. I keep seeing that prison.
Well, what you need right now is a sedative. Now, just lie on this couch, Devine, and roll up your sleeve.
Yeah, Doc.
I'll rub off your arm. Yeah, there. And, here goes the needle.
Ouch!
Now, that didn't hurt, Devine.
Yeah. You know, I appreciate a high-class croaker like you working on me, Doc.
Well, your case interests me.
And then it's lucky we ran into you on a train coming back from Alcatraz. That place they had Vanny.
And you, Garson. You were really the only one waiting for him at the gates there.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Just one guy, little Monk here. It's like he says, Doc McCord. My health and nerves the way they are, we're playing a nice party to find you've got your practice in the same town I'm heading for.
Well, Devine, I can see you're suffering from a classic fear neurosis.
Well, I get plenty to be afraid of.
Now, I'm warning you. You've got to relax this tension. And I'll be back later to see if I can get you settled for a night's rest. That's imperative. You must sleep.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh,
I'll try.
Well, Doc, if you're through, I'll take you out.
Yes, I'm through for the time being.
Hey. Now, wait a minute. What's this?
Yeah?
This? Oh, seems to be a piece of paper lying by the window.
Yeah. Look what it says. Look, Doc. Look, I know that handwriting.
Let me read it, boss. Rat Divine, you're going out tonight. Hey, this is Kane's
Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Lock the windows. Lock the door.
Wait a minute.
Give me
now.
somebody to beat it.
No.
Hey, I'm going.
Hold on. Do I understand this note here is a threat?
This note is from Bullet's Kane, Doc, a guy that don't like the force.
Oh. Well, there's just one thing for you to do. Get to bed.
Sure, that's fine. But before we do anything, we're going to call the district attorney. Any of me seen now, nurse?
Oh, yes, Mr. District Attorney. Doctor left no instructions about visitors at all.
Is that the law? The DA?
Yes.
We'll bring him in. All right, come on, Harrington.
Right. So this is Vanny Devine, huh?
Yes, the big shot. Well, Harrington, he doesn't look like much now, does he?
No, I guess he was lucky to be alive. What's the matter, Vanny? Stomachache?
No, gents, it's his nerves. He's got it so bad he's had to have a doc on this here nurse.
And who are you?
I'm
my pal, Monk Garson, DA.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about the monk. What, they tell me he would have been out on the big rock with you, Vanny?
No, sir, I'm clean. I never touched no gun or no knife.
Well, we won't argue about that. Now, Vanny, I've come out here to have a straight talk with you. Nurse, give me a glass of water, will you? All right, give him the water, nurse. And you'd better leave us alone.
Yes, sir. You are, Mr. Devine?
Okay, blow. Now, look here, DA.
Hey, what is this, a zoo?
It's just my marmoset. No sight. He wants to drink of the porter's water.
Well, get him out of here, too.
All right, boss. All right. Don't get yourself nervous. Come on, no dice. Don't get it.
Now, listen, DA. You got to protect me. You got to. Why should I protect you? And from what? I got a note, DA. Came from Bullet's Cane. It tells me I ain't going to live another night.
From Bullet's Cane, huh? He ain't one of your fans, Vanny.
You got that note right here? Was it mailed? There was two. One was mailed. One wasn't. Oh, then Kane's in town. I expected that when I heard you had showed up. Now, wait a minute. You got to protect me. I'm clean with the law now. With 5 years on the rock for income tax fraud? I think you came clean at cut rates, Manny.
Yeah, by right.
Hey, look, go easy. No, it isn't you I have to protect. It's the people of this county. That's why I'll see that you don't get killed. But you've got to play it my way. Well, what way is that? You'll stay right here in this house and not go out. There'll be no gun battles on the streets of this town with innocent people killed. Just stay right here. Huh? Yes, and I'm going to ship those bodyguards of yours that I met downstairs out of town. What? I don't like their looks. But you can't leave me alone. No, you won't be alone. Monk Garson can stay with you. Inspector Brophy and his men will guard the house. Now, you stay right here and you'll be safe until we've rounded up Bullet's Cane. And then you'll both get out of town. Now, you'd better play ball with me, Vanny. I'll be back this evening to be sure you have.
Oh, good evening, Mr. District Attorney.
Good evening, Dr.
McCord, John McCord. My patient here told me you were looking after him.
Well, I don't think you could call it that, Doc. We didn't ask him to play in our backyard.
How do you feel, Vanny? You got those cops downstairs? Yes, they're there. That's good. This excitement, it ain't good for my heart, is it, Doc?
Well, let's not worry about your heart. Oh, nurse.
Yes, sir.
In case the patient can't sleep tonight, I'm leaving these capsules. 3 of them.
Yes, sir.
Now, one of them ought to make him comfortable, but give him as many as he seems to need.
Yes.
Now, Devine, you relax.
Yeah.
The district attorney's here. You've got to realize you have nothing to worry about.
That's what you say.
No. This attitude isn't helping you any. Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night.
Now, nurse, I want you to see...
Well, Vanny, you're a lot more trouble than you're worth.
Listen, you saw that note I got for Bullet's Cane? He wasn't fooling. You'll just see me through this. I'll get out of the country. Canada, Central America. I'll find it. Well, you'll certainly get out of this county, my friend. We'll locate Kane, We want to get rid of him, too, as I told you. And when we find him, you both go. But you ain't going to let him send me over. That ain't legal to you.
It looks a lot different on the receiving end, don't it, Benny?
I'm staying here myself tonight. You? Does that make you feel any better? Why, yeah, sure. Sure, that's fine. That's mighty fine. I've even brought my secretary, so I can keep up with my work while I'm staying here.
Yeah, don't forget, brother, it's not because you rate it.
Well, whatever it is, I'm mighty grateful. That's all right. Save the thanks. Hey! Who? Oh. Go ahead, Divine. Answer. Hello?
Hello, Vanny.
Who's that?
This is Bullet Kane.
Huh?
I just wanted you to understand. I know you got cops there. I know you're beef to the DA. You're still going over tonight.
Hey, wait. Wait.
It's all rat.
Hey, DA. Call my cops. Call those cops. Get him in here. That was Kane. This time on the telephone. Get him in here. You'll never be Divine. You're not going to be killed by Bullet Kane.
I thought I was good, Kane, but not that good. Here was the DA himself giving me a polite hello, and that dumb cop of his ready to stick out his tongue and ask for a pill. Oh, it was rich.
Yeah, Johnny. Looks like this new idea of mine would come out all right.
Sure it will. You know, I never worked a heavy grip like this before. But don't you worry. People have been falling for this dignified front of mine for years. Why, Vanny among dozen on the train were the easiest marks I ever trimmed.
A wise guy always falls for a con man like you, Johnny.
Sure.
That's why I planted you on that train.
Yeah, it sure worked. And when I dropped that note in Vanny's room this afternoon, I wish you could have heard him howl.
You couldn't calm him down, huh?
Oh, not even with my professional skill.
John the doctor. Hey, you really know anything about it?
Oh, I had a few years at medical school.
Yeah?
But let's forget that.
Oh.
Now, I've given Vanny a couple of harmless hypos to dress the act. And I've already dug 2 big fees out of him.
You're going to make out all right. But he's going tonight.
Yeah. I got a nurse there with him. I got the nurse from an agency, and she's on the level. But the sleeping capsules, well, they ain't on the level.
Will they hurt?
As soon as he swallows one, it'll tear him to pieces.
Not too quick.
It'll be a matter of minutes.
Good.
Now, let's have a look at my watch, sir. It's 11:30. I don't want to keep you any longer.
Oh, that's all right, Chief.
No, you better get home now. The rest of this can wait until morning when we're back in the office.
But are you going to stay here all night?
Yes. Harrington and I, Brophy and the police.
Oh.
Yeah. Quite a turnout for a bum like Vanny Devine, ain't it, Miss Miller?
He certainly caused plenty of excitement.
A man like Vanny Devine represents the end of an era. Just a nuisance now. Out of date.
I won't feel easy till he's out of this county, too.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, good night, you two.
Good night.
Don't sit up too late now.
No, we won't.
Hey, by the way, Harrington.
Yeah.
Better go down and see your Brophy.
Oh, Miss Sawyer, you still up? Yes, I'll be on duty all night. Oh, gosh, it's nerve-wracking, this waiting, isn't it? What's the matter? You tired out? Uh-huh. Honestly, I don't see how I'll get to sleep when I get home. Well, I'll tell you what, Miss Miller. The doctor left some capsules for the patient if he got restless and couldn't sleep. Here they are. Now, I won't need all 3. You take this one. Oh, thanks. Take it a little water the minute you get home. You'll sleep all right.
In just a moment, your district attorney will continue with this case. And now back to Mr. District Attorney.
Hey, what's that?
12:30, Vanny. Now,
Lie back and take it easy.
I ain't slept a wink.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, Monk. It's like I can see him in the corner there, looking at me. Regan Kane, Alfred Aldy, the kid from Kansas City, all of them.
Dead guys won't hurt you, Fanny. Lie back now, huh?
Get that weekend monkey away from me, will you?
Quiet, no dice. Quiet.
I can't think with him jumping around.
Now, on the chair, no dice. Now, be a good boy now. Get over
Let
there.
me straighten your pillow for you.
Yeah.
There.
Thanks.
You really ought to get some rest now.
Rest? This is a funny one.
Can't you give him a pill or something, nurse?
Yes, there's a sleeping capsule doctor left for him. This red one right here.
Oh, yeah. Give me that. It might make me feel better at that.
Just pour you a little water.
That's good, Fanny. Swallow a little pill and then lay back on the Wheatman willow and grab yourself some shut-eye.
Mm-hmm.
There you are. Just put it on your tongue and swallow it with the water.
Now, wait a minute. Will this thing put me clear on this?
You'll go right down to sleep.
And I don't want it.
What?
You don't.
Now, Fanny, be sensible.
I don't want it, I tell you. I can't pass out now. Kane might come for me while I was asleep.
Put that DA in Harrington and the cops are downstairs.
Listen, I know what I'm doing. I gotta stay awake. I ain't gonna go in my sleep. I've seen him do that.
Now, Mr. Devine,
Get away from me with that sleep pill. I've seen him lying down and dreaming. Somebody up with a gun. It's a big sleep. Oh, no, not for mine. Mm-mm.
Well, all right, Fanny, all right.
Oh, no.
Oh, brace up, Chappie. You're among friends here.
O'clock in the morning, Chief.
Yes, hello, Harrington.
What's happened?
Hey, what's that?
How'd this happen?
Oh, Monk Garson, Fanny.
Did you know anything about this?
What's the matter, Monk?
Oh, look.
Oh.
My little marmoset, no dice.
Huh? Hey, he's dead.
Oh, what happened to him?
Something bad, Chief. Look how he's stretched out.
Who'd want to kill a little fella, huh? Who'd do a thing like that? What's it going to hurt in a poor little thing?
Yes, maybe it is.
Yes, sir?
Here, take a look.
What do you think?
Oh, the little marmoset.
Well, what happened to him? What would do like that to him?
Wait a minute. Oh, this is awful.
I'll say it is.
No, you don't understand.
What's wrong?
Well, I saw this animal drinking the water I poured out for Mr. Devine.
Yes?
Yeah, there were 2 sleeping capsules. Now there's only 1. And Mr. Devine says he didn't take any while I was out of the room.
You think No Dice got one?
Well, he must have. They were bright red, just the thing that would attract him.
What kind of sleeping powders were these?
They must have been made up by mistake with the wrong ingredients.
Well, that's a nice thing.
No, you still don't understand.
Huh?
There were 3 capsules.
What?
I gave one to the district attorney's secretary, Miss Miller.
What?
She took it home with her an hour and a half ago.
This is our door, Chief.
Yes, I know.
Listen, the radio's on. I'll break this door down.
No. Try a passkey first. Maybe quicker.
Right.
Come on.
There she is, Chief.
Yes.
Stretch out in an armchair with the radio grinding.
Turn it off.
Chief, look at this kid.
Yes.
She's out like a light.
Miller.
Chief, this cat.
Miss Miller.
Hello.
Oh, please, Miss Miller, answer me. Did you take that capsule?
What on earth? What capsule?
The one you got from Devine's nurse.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Oh. Well, it turned out I didn't need anything to make me sleep. You see,
Oh.
I turned on that night owl radio program and dozed right off in this armchair listening to it. Say, what's gotten into you? What?
Do you still have that capsule?
Well, yes. What's wrong?
That sleeping medicine is deadly poison, intended to kill Vanny Devine.
What?
No, wait a minute. Don't faint.
No, I won't taste. But why did that nurse give it to me for?
She didn't know, of course. Now, take it easy, Miss Miller.
Yeah.
Now, Harrington, back to Vanny Devine. They'll try to get him some other way. Come in here, Carson.
Okay.
Sit down right by the bed here.
You heard about the no dice, didn't you?
Yeah. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, I don't.
Now, look here. That monkey got a hold of some stuff that was meant for me.
That's right, and if it hadn't been for him,
I'd have turned up my toes the same way.
Well, ain't you got anything to say?
I got plenty to say. All to you, you double-crosser.
What is this? I don't make you.
You get me all right. Who planted that poison?
Well, I don't know.
Not the nurse. I never seen her before.
Yeah, but...
Not the doc. Where would his practice be if he handed out a dose like that?
Something's got into you, Benny. Relax.
Not with you around. You were the guy that planted that stuff to kill me. You. The one guy I thought I could trust.
But you can trust me, Benny. I never tried to kill you. You got me wrong.
What? Now, wait. Who hired you to shove that poison into my medicine? It was Kane, wasn't it?
You got no call to lay me out like this. Kane couldn't hire me to hurt you, Benny.
I don't believe you. You're a crook, and in the long run, a crook will turn on you.
Oh, that's great. You're the one to talk, ain't you?
Never mind about me. I can take care of myself so far as you're concerned.
Then you better start doing it. After a deal like this, nobody'd blame me if I did go to work for Kane.
Oh. So it's out in the open now.
Yeah, you're bound to be wrong about me. Nothing else will do. Yeah, that's gratitude. So long, big shot.
Now, wait a minute.
Huh? What now?
Don't you want to shake before you go?
What for?
Well, it's just from now on, I got to go at single duke. For myself. Might as well make a clean break here. If we're going to split, let's split even. Run over and shake hands.
There. Hey, let go of my hand.
This morning, you chipper.
What do you got there? Benny, be careful.
A knife.
Benny.
From under my pillow. Well, let's fix you. Now, let's get out of here. Kane will be waiting to hear from this bum.
Hello, Vanny.
Kane.
Come on in, Doc.
Sure. Doc, this guy with you. This guy here is Bush Kane.
Sure he is.
Yeah, but what's he doing here? How'd he get in here?
Tell him, Doc.
The cops downstairs think he's my colleague. And I told you, nurse, to go.
Now, listen. Listen, fellas. I'll be reasonable. I'll fix you, right?
Thanks. Hey, look here.
What?
It's little Monk Garson.
Huh?
Somebody ruined him with a knife.
Oh.
That gives me a good idea.
You shouldn't have sent him here, Bullet.
Me? I didn't have anything to do with Garson. He was your boy.
And a lot of good it did him.
This was a dumb play, Vanny. You killed the one guy in the world that was loyal to you.
I thought he was your boy.
Nah. Doc, give me that pillow.
Here you are.
There's two of us to one.
Hold
it down on the bed. That's good, Johnny. Keep him from yelling.
Yeah, I got you.
Now listen, Vanny. I see you got a knife there. Now you got your choice. The doc here will operate on you, or you can drink one of them capsules he made up. Which will it be? Take the pillow off.
Yeah, right.
I'll take the capsule.
All right. Give him room. Now, Vanny, we're going to let you drink this stuff and take you out nice and easy. But one holler and you get carved, understand?
Yeah.
Pour the water, Johnny.
Right. Drink it, Granny.
Give me it.
Here it is.
He threw the water in my face. Grab him.
Back on the bed, Granny.
All right. You wouldn't be nice.
Back up.
So we won't be nice either. Give me that knife. Hold his arm, Johnny.
Stop. Hey, what's going on here? Put that knife down here.
Listen, I'm not there.
Hey, hurt me or do I have to shoot you? Chief, come in there, quick.
I see. Back against the wall, both you men. Devine, stay where you are. Brophy, send for a squad car. We're taking these three to headquarters.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Our stars were Jay Jostin in the title role,
Len Doyles-Harrington and Vicki Vola as Miss Miller, with music by Charles Paul. The program was produced and directed by Edward A. Byron and written by Robert J. Shaw. Mr. District Attorney was originated by Phillips H. Lord. And remember, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health, Vitalis for well-groomed hair. Sal Hepatica, Vitalis. Fred Utel speaking for Bristol Myers, who invites you to tune in again next week for Mr. District Attorney.